What is going on, people? Welcome to Spoiler Alerts for The Last of Us 2. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and today I'm joined by Carlos Romero.
Yo, what up,
Rikuson1, the only one.
Yo, what it do, everyone?
And the homegirl, Taylor Lyles.
Hey there, what's up, guys?
All right, people, you already know what it is. Last of Us 2 spoiler alert, so I don't want to hear any shit. Who spoiled the game? It's literally in the title. Spoiler. Get out of here and play the game, But like we usually do, we're going to, talk about the game in depth. It is going to be good because a lot of us have, like me and Taylor specifically, we've been talking behind the scenes like, yo, do you see this? You see this? But we couldn't do this shit publicly, obviously. So it'll be good to get some things off our chest and stuff. The good, the bad, and the ugly and all that. But before we do that, let's actually quick congratulations to Subgata because he actually won our contest for The Last of Us 2. So he's playing the game. I think he beat it already. Shout out to him. And let's get into it, man. Like we always do, quick impressions, just so you guys understand where we're coming from. And we'll dive into it. I thought the game was very, very good. Like story-wise, kind of gameplay-wise, solid as shit, and graphic-wise, fucking beautiful.
You have a Pro, right?
Yes, I do. Okay. I didn't really, if there's any graphical options in there, I didn't see it, but it looked fucking legit, So yeah, I like the game. That's just my stance on it. I liked it. Taylor, what'd you think, real quick?
Yeah, I mean, like, real talk, I feel the same way. I'm on the same boat as you. I concur with a lot of those statements. I ran into a few technical issues. I have a Pro, so I played it on my Pro. But, definitely one of the best looking games to come out this year. Definitely one of my favorite games. I think it might be my game of the year. I don't know. We still got a whole lot of 2020 left in this crazy year. But I really liked it. I had a couple issues with the story that we'll get into later when we dive a little bit deeper. But, I liked it. I thought it was a really good sequel, especially gameplay-wise compared to the first one.
Yeah, for sure. Riku.
I enjoyed this game a lot. Like, this game is very, very good. It's great, to be honest. I think from a single-player standpoint, in my opinion, this tops everything The Last of Us 1 had going on. Gameplay was solid. It was better there as well. I love the dodging system in this game. That made it for me because in the previous game, obviously, I think in regards to gameplay, that's probably the biggest addition is the dodging. That definitely helped the melee combat, even though it's simple, good enough for the type of game it is. This is a third-person survival game, so to have a melee combat system that is at this level. Even if it's simple compared to, fighters and whatnot. But this is really fucking good. I fucking loved it. Like, sometimes when I'm just trying to conserve ammo, I'm just, I'm like, no, I'll square up, So I'm just, like, punching them and dodging and all that other stuff. I'm saving all my ammo because I was playing on hard for my first run. So, I get, that ammo had to be scarce, But, as far as game of the year, I think right now it's probably still Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. But this game is really fucking good. This is like right behind it for me right now.
Nice. And Carlos.
Yeah, kind of a little bit similar to what a lot of people have been talking about. This game is pretty much, it pushes all the buttons, like it has the great graphics. I was talking to Tony the other day and it's like, yeah, it's between this and Red Dead Redemption 2 that are probably the best graphics of the generation, for me at least. I got to give more credence to Red Dead Redemption 2 because it's an actual open world. But The Last of Us 2 is amazing, especially on my TV. That on the PS4 Pro, that thing ran like butter, man. And yeah, I agree with Riku. The combat system, while it's not Dark Souls or anything like that in terms of combat, and that's specific. What's that word? Specific.
You could do it, man.
Specific?
Sound it out.
Specificity, or I don't know.
You're a great trier.
Yeah, I try my best. It's really good, and yeah, it's way better than The Last of Us Part 1. So yeah, everything in terms of gameplay, graphics, everything was a massive improvement to The Last of Us 1. I played The Last of Us 1 when it came out, and that game, even though it looked great, especially for its time in, what was it, 2013?
Yeah.
It didn't run the best, at least for me. There was a lot of, frame hiccups and stuff, and there's a lot of times where the frame rate dropped drastically. In this game, it didn't. It was a 30 FPS game, but I don't think it dropped drastically at any point in time. So yeah, it was great. I do appreciate that this game is sort of like, well, and we'll get more into detail with it, but it takes a lot from Resident Evil, and it's not the best story. For me, I'm one of the people that say story is not the most important thing when it comes to a game, especially because video games generally have dumb stories. And this one, you can tell when someone's trying to make a good story. This doesn't really make it. Like, this story isn't that great. There's a lot of good parts to it. I feel like it's engaging, but it does have its faults, and we'll get more into detail with the story. But yeah, I had some issues with it. But overall, as a packaged game, it's still great. It's one of my favorites of the year, and it's not my game of the year. The leader for that title is still Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is surprising for me if you would have asked me at the beginning of the year. But yeah, that's how things are for me right now.
Nice. All right, so let's get into the story of it. Before we do that, quick setup for the first game, right? First game, you played as Joel, where you basically had to take Ellie across the country because she was immune to the cordyceps virus or infection. I don't know what they call it. And, they went to the Fireflies, which is a group of humans that was, trying to find a cure. Joel murdered everybody because he didn't want Ellie to die in the process, and we see the ramifications of that in this game. Basically, I originally was worried that they were not going to touch on that. Like, literally the whole game, the main core story is a reflection of what happened with Joel's decision. Basically, some leftover Fireflies, they found out where Joel was hiding. They found him, killed him, then Ellie's out to, kill them, specifically Abby, who is the other playable character in the game, which we're gonna get into. So yeah, as far as story goes, the basic structure is you play effectively half the game as Ellie, the other half you play as Abby, and they're both trying to get revenge on each other, which is interesting because at one point Ellie kills some of Abby's beloved ones, and they're trying to just murder each other. All this other crazy shit happens. So let's get into it. Taylor, why don't you start us off with the core of the story? What do you think of it?
Okay, so
and get as deep as you want now. Go ham.
Get it? Yeah, I'm gonna get as deep. I'm gonna get pretty deep.
Yeah, and we'll jump in, and all that. So yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So at the end of the first game, I loved how they left that ending. I had a very strong feeling it was going to play like the decisions behind that, and then like that final scene, like I knew that was just not going to go unleft. Like I know there were going to be a lot. It was going to be like a major plot device, and it was one of those things where it's like this wasn't the first time that Joel kind of had to face the repercussions of an action or decision he made. I mean, it happened in the first game when he killed a bunch of that one guy's those cannibals friends and stuff, and then that they almost killed him, and then they tried to kill Ellie because she was with him. And so when I saw how that ending played, and how even the scene when you go into the hospital and you try to stop that, they're about to do surgery on her, and he just flat out kills the doctor, I'm like, this is going to be touched on significantly in the next game. I just know it is. I thought it was an interesting touch that he actually had a daughter, the doctor that Joel killed. So I thought that was kind of interesting. When I first saw her, and when she was she flat out said his name, and I'm pretty sure that's the first time we ever heard what Joel's last name was. Side note.
Yeah. And Miller, I think it was
Joel Miller. Yeah. And I was like, oh god. I was like, I bet that's a bitch. I was telling myself, I was like, wouldn't that be crazy if she was a family member or something of that doctor Joel killed, and then we find out that was her daughter. I was like, oh my god. But I thought it was an interesting story. I mean, the beginning had a good concept. It kind of fell a little flat in the middle. The end really just kind of shook me. Yeah. I mean, compared to the first, compared to the first story, I felt like it just wasn't as good. It had its moments where I was like, oh my god, this is really good. There was several scenes, most of them were optional scenes, but I was like, if we had more of those, I thought this would have made the story even that much better. And I feel that there was just a lot of plot holes a little bit in some of the game, and I understand they were trying to tell this story in two ways, and they were trying to do that, like, every story has two sides. But I feel like with Abby's side specifically, we didn't really get a whole lot of background with her. And I mean, we had those flashbacks and stuff, but I was just like, I didn't really care about her. Some of her friends were a little bit more interesting. The girl with the PlayStation Vita was more interesting than Abby. I could not care about Abby. I tried so hard. Like, I felt bad for her dad because her dad seemed like a cool dude, but her friend Manny? He was cool, but her, I'm like, I don't want her. I just wanted to just get through her side of the story as quickly as possible, because it's like, I just don't like her. She's a very boring character.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of interesting because here's the thing: I didn't mind playing as her if it would have been short bursts or whatever, a couple little chapters here or there, right? When you get to her section, I'm thinking it was going to be another little flashback, right? And then as soon as you start going to the workbench, it's like, fuck, hold on, workbench now, upgrades. Yeah. And then so I'm thinking, okay, maybe just a little bit, whatever, because I thought it was just going to be an interlude. That interlude lasted for 10 fucking hours. Like, oh shit. When I got to Seattle Day 3, I'm like, okay, she's the other character, And I agree with you. I didn't want to play her. Here's the thing: some people say they didn't want to play her because she killed Joel. That's not really my problem. It just the things. I'm talking about the story right now. The things that happened in her story, I felt were filler. They were inconsequential to the main game, right? Basically, Abby is, for most of her game, going to find the scars, the Seraphites, to get these kids and shit. Like, that's all she's doing. You're like, okay, well, I don't give a fuck about these kids, bruh. Like,
I think.
But here's the worst thing, Carlos, I know what you're gonna say. Here's the worst thing: the cliffhanger left you on. It's like Abby rolls up into the movie theater, kills fucking Jesse and shit, about to take Ellie hostage. You're like, oh shit. Then you gotta wait 10 hours to see the resolution. Like, come on, bruh. Like, you're leaving me mad hanging right now. Carlos, what's up, man?
I think that's the most divisive part of the game, at least for the people who actually played the game. I'm not going to talk about the other people who had opinions of a game they haven't played. But this game, it's all about the structure and the way they're telling their story. That's the most jarring part, and that's the part that kind of didn't work for me. Like Tony mentioned, we were left with the cliffhanger. Like, we were on a roll. We were with Ellie. We're like going to point A, point B. Went to the aquarium. We're like, fuck. Those people killed the dog. I knew the dog. I was like, damn, that shit sucks. That shit was scary though. It was like Resident Evil 1 vibes. It's like, yeah, and it goes to Abby, and I'm like Tony mentioned, I get into Abby's part. And then I see, I press the touch button on the PS4, and it's like 0 meds, and I'm like, and there's upgrades, and they're blank. They're starting from 0, and I'm like, oh boy, I think we're going in for the long run. And yeah, that's the whole thing. Tony mentioned that the Abby story is inconsequential, and also I agree with Taylor saying that Abby is not a compelling character. I agree with that. I guess the main part of her story is world building, because we get sort of a little bit of the Fireflies, a little bit of the Wolves, sort of compound and what they're doing and who they are and their hierarchy. We also get part of the scars with Lev and Yara. And that, and we also get the whole thing, which is, the overarching theme, which is no one's really a good or a bad person in this game. They're all can be good, and they all can be bad depending on whose side you're on. And that's the whole thing that they're trying to do with this. And I'm like, I didn't really need you to tell me, I didn't really need you to show me via a separate campaign to tell me that, yeah, Joel and Ellie are bad people to the opposing factions,
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I stand with it.
Yeah. There's a couple more things about the story that I'm going to ask you guys, but keep going.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily dislike the actual contents of Abby's sort of
Yeah,
mini campaign.
we're gonna get into
Because-
that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because all that stuff was pretty cool. There's a lot of good stories within. There's a lot of cool characters that we get to see. But it does sort of stifle the momentum that we were building with Ellie, and that's my biggest issue. It kind of it set up a structure where we were pretty comfortable in, and we were really, like I was enjoying the story immensely, and then it just threw a monkey wrench, and it's like, God damn it.
Yeah, it's like, yo, bro, now I can't use my infinite shiv anymore, man. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I gotta make
I
him.
know.
You know,
Gotta make them. Like, what is this last one? Last of Us Part 1?
yeah, like I remember there was this one part I snuck up to one of the clickers because they don't see you if you're not making noise and stuff, and I'm there pressing square and shit. And it's like, you need a shiv. I'm like, what do you mean I need a shiv? Oh fuck, you know. Thankfully, you could just walk around it, or like crouch around it real quick and shit. But yeah, anyway, Riku, man, story. What would you think of it? The structure and the way it played out and all that other stuff.
Now, if you see this entire time I'm letting you guys talk, I ain't saying nothing. I'm not hopping in. I would appreciate it if the same is reciprocated. Okay, so firstly, Abby. In my opinion, Abby is a great character. I enjoyed all of her shit, and I personally feel I enjoyed her part of the story more than Ellie. When we were playing as Ellie, you mentioned. I think Carlos mentioned the fact that Ellie has a knife. She uses a knife mainly as her main weapon, and then you get to Abby, you're like, oh, I don't have my knife anymore, and whatnot. The thing is, yeah, it's a knife, but it's not like the shiv we know. Like when Joel was using a shiv, like it would one hit kill people, right? So when you're using Ellie, a different character, Ellie's not about punching like Joel. So they gave her a knife as her primary, weapon, which, like I said, if you use it on someone, she's like slashing them. She's not like one hit killing them. When you use Abby, though, Abby's just straight up punching people like she's a Fist of the North Star character and whatnot. Like when you freaking when you like throw a brick at someone and you grab them with Abby, she like throws them on the floor and freaking Dead Space stomps their face in and whatnot. I was enjoying all of that stuff. In regards to her side story and all that, I do hear a lot of people say that, they didn't find it interesting or they felt, like you said, inconsequential or anything like that. I personally saw it like this. Actually, no, before I even say that, I watched, Kind of Funny's, little thing with Greg Miller,
Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson, right?
Yeah, and
Neil
then the
Druckmann
writer,
was too. Yeah,
Was it
Neil Druckmann. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Neil Druckmann was in there, and he said one of his biggest inspirations for The Last of Us Part 2. I haven't played the game, so Tony, you're gonna have to attest to this. He said one of his biggest, when it came to how the story beats was handled for The Last of Us Part 2, was Metal Gear Solid 2. And he said when it came to he said when it came to
another
you
controversial
using Abby
game,
and you
yeah.
And he was saying, he said when he was playing the Metal Gear Solid 2, he wished that at the end you got to use Snake again, or whoever you're using as the main character, who everyone thought you were going to use, but you're using someone else. And that's what he did when it came to The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us Part 2 from jump, and it always has been a dual protagonist story. Everyone thinks this is the story of Ellie. No, this is the story of two main characters. The only thing is they hid one away from the people. And you know how when it came to people reviewing the game, he was like, "Oh, don't talk about the Abby stuff," because he wanted it to be a surprise. And they said they went through a lot of preparation to make sure that they can hide Abby, that surprise away. It wasn't like they were trying to trick, because a lot of people feel like they were tricked into a story where, oh, I'm going to play as Ellie and Joel again. It's going to be the Ellie and Joel story again. This is what I want. And then, they come in here and then Joel dies in the first couple hours and all this other stuff. But yeah, from jump, it was supposed to be Ellie and Abby. They have two different skill trees. They have different equipment and whatnot. And you do get a shiv with Abby, and it's the traditional shiv, the one that one hit kills and whatnot. The thing about the story, right, is each of the characters follow this path, and it's like there's like there's two paths, one that leads into the other, right? Um, the first path is called the path of revenge. The second path is called the path of redemption. 3 characters in all of The Last of Us, like, including part 2, have gone through these 2 paths, right? The first character was Joel. When his daughter died, Sarah, in part 1, unconsciously he is now in the path of revenge mindset, right? Even though you see him when Last of Us Part 1, when what's the girl that initially was supposed to take Ellie? I can't remember her name. Tessa or something.
Tess.
I think.
Tess.
Tess.
Yeah.
Tess. Yeah.
It was supposed to be Tess. And remember, Joel didn't want to do it. Didn't want to do this and whatnot. He was only doing it for Tess. He didn't really care. The world took his daughter away and whatnot. And you see through The Last of Us Part 1, he grows on to Ellie. He like basically it becomes his daughter, and both of them, they both save each other's lives in part 1, and they form a bond and whatnot. So when it came to the end and him making that decision, like I said, unconsciously he is still in the mindset of, it's fucked up, it took away my daughter and now it wants to take away another daughter from me. Nah, fuck that. They're not doing that again. And when you're in the path of revenge, you're not necessarily supposed to like or relate to arguably you can relate sometimes, but you're not supposed to agree with what they're doing. They're supposed to be doing something bad because they are down the path of revenge. And what Joel did at the end, I guess I'm sure we can all agree, not a good move on Joel to basically put Ellie above the entire fucking world, but that's what he did. He was in the path of revenge. After the character is done with their path of revenge, they go down the path of redemption. And for Joel, that was everything he did after part 1. So, the 4-year time skip in Last of Us Part 1, he's in the path of redemption. He's like, well, I need to make up for all of the bullshit that I did when I was in the path of revenge, and I'm going to just focus on basically being the best I can possibly can to Ellie. And we see that in flashbacks. Him, we already hear about Ellie talking about how she always wanted to be an astronaut, and Joel basically gave her the best birthday gift she could ever ask for, when it came to that whole space astronaut scene and whatnot. He's doing all of this good stuff for Ellie, and he's helping people in the city. And during the path of redemption in these 4 years, he definitely did lose himself when it came to who he used to be in regards to being super what's the word I'm looking for? Careful when it comes to trusting people, because he's settling down to path of redemption and whatnot. So when it did come to the scene where he met up with Abby's crew and whatnot, these are people that are close by this this peaceful city that he has been settled in, and they have already told us that people on the outskirts, they've been bringing people back into their city, so when he did see those people, that's why everyone's like, why did Joel give up his name so easily and whatnot? It's like, this isn't the Joel from part 1. This is a different Joel. This is a more toned down Joel. So, and like I said, he's bringing people in. So he wasn't really worried about that, but that's not the point. He got fucked over. He didn't get fucked over. He got it coming, and he did. But point is, he went down the path of revenge, right? And he went into the path of redemption. 2 other characters did this as well. Ellie and Abby. When Joel killed Abby's father, that kickstarted Abby's path of revenge. So she you saw her in the flashback. She looks like a regular girl, right? And apparently in the fucking present, she looks like a fucking Fist of the North Star character. That entire time we didn't see, she was going down the path of revenge. It's, getting her body prepared so it's for when she sees Joel, she can, fuck him up, And when she saw Joel, that's exactly what the hell she did. The path of revenge. You're not supposed to like a character or what they're doing during the path of revenge. I already said that with Joel. Now it's here with Abby. And I felt the developers, when you're seeing it through the aspect of Ellie, I felt they did a good job in making the player feel that you're supposed to hate Abby. They did a good job on that. You're seeing it from her perspective. You don't know anything about Abby at that time. They did a good job on that. When Abby got her revenge on Joel, what did she do? She's done with her revenge. She went down the path of redemption after that. And she did that through Lev, just like how Joel did that through Ellie. You know, he sees these people, and even the people, when they saw them, they're like, why are you helping us and whatnot? She couldn't really answer. She just felt like she needed to do better in regards to what she was doing her entire life. Excuse me. Oof. She was
What
doing
you
all of
eat,
this.
son?
I had some spaghetti, baby. But yeah, she's going down the path of redemption now. Even when she was like messing around with Owen, and she thought she was done with Lev and them. When she was messing around with Owen, she had that nightmare of like Lev and Yara hung and whatnot. She's still in her head thinking that she needs to do more for these people, you know, and whatnot. And she did. But she is in the path of redemption phase. And that's why she was doing all that stuff. And they needed to build a story for her and whatnot. In my opinion, I connected with it, When it came to Ellie, right? Ellie is the only one in regards to the three characters that went down these paths that didn't finish that path. When Joel was killed by Abby, that kick-started Ellie's path of revenge. Ellie's going through the entire story trying to kill Abby. Now the thing is, with the three characters that I mentioned that went down the path of revenge, we didn't see the full path of revenge of Joel or Abby. We just heard about it, We see Abby, but we didn't see everything that led up to that. We saw when Sarah died, but we didn't see that time skip of what Joel was doing in between that and whatnot, right? So we didn't really get to see the full path of revenge. We only get to see a full path of redemption through Abby and a full path of revenge through Ellie, And when everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe Ellie's doing all of this stuff. She's killing all of these people. I don't like this side of Ellie. I'm sure Joel and Abby probably did that when they were in the path of revenge. We just didn't see it. Who knows how many people Abby probably killed, thought was Joel, or, all the crazy shit she did before The Last of Us Part 1 leading up to Last of Us Part 2, But the point is, Ellie went down the path of revenge all the way to the fucking end of the game where she's holding, the knife to Lev's throat, still wanted to fight Abby, because she's still on the path of revenge and whatnot. And, at this time, Abby don't even have her muscles anymore. She doesn't even want to fight because, she just wants to be done with it. And you see Ellie have her fucking head in the water and whatnot. And that was her about to end the path of revenge. But she stopped, She ended the cycle of this whole revenge shit and she ended it. Thought that was good, because we saw two characters go down that, and who knows what Ellie would have done if she did go through it. She probably would have went down the path of redemption and probably tried to find up with Dina and do her whole thing. But the thing is, we're looking at two different characters going down two different paths of the same path, just in different timestamps within that path, if you guys understand where I'm coming from. So I felt all of that was done very well when you look at it from that perspective.
Yeah. By the way, you gave us a lot to deal with right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Taylor. You go first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna agree with him on this. I mean, like the way I see it, like at the end of the first game, I understand why Joel did this decision he did. It was really selfish when you think about it. It affected the whole world, and it's almost like he kind of had this feeling of just like. I was like watching a video or something and somebody had mentioned something about like kind of like explaining the ending, but like basically they brought up the point of like, was the world really worth saving? And that's kind of like what Joel was kind of going through his head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in some way it was like a yes and a no. Like on one hand, like say they did find that cure. You saw how feral people have been after this outbreak. I mean, there were cannibals. And who knows how many other cannibals there were. There were people like killing each other. Like when you get that far in a world like that, you have to be some level of dangerous, or like that's just how it is. So it's like if they did find the cure, it's like how could things go back to a sense of normality when you have so much just like cutthroatness and animalistic tendencies from just mankind as a whole. But I agree with you in the sense with like Abby. So like Abby kind of just went the opposite way in that sense. Like she could have killed Ellie when she found them, and she didn't.
And you know why she did that, right?
Yeah, I mean, because she realized. Yeah, it's the same reason why she was helping Lev and Yara, because she realized that the world was still, there was still good in this world, and that there was still a way that they can still kind of fix this, or at least make the world a little bit better than how they left it. And that's, because like when they were in Santa Barbara, for instance, like towards the end, like in that like epilogue-esque like kind of ending, like towards the end, and she went to Santa Barbara, and she was literally telling Owen how he was just like crazy as hell for even thinking about going to Santa Barbara trying to find the Fireflies. But then she goes and finds them, like, and I'm just like sitting here thinking, like, it's like she had this like idea. It was just like she kind of just came to this realization, like there is still some good in this world, and I have to find hope. And it's like the fact that she even did that. I was like, if that was like the same Abby from like day one Seattle when we were playing as her, like I don't think she would have been there at that point. So it's like Abby and Joel are almost like two sides of the same coin. And I will agree with you in regards to like how it was kind of smart for Neil Druckmann to tell the reviewers who had that were doing the review and stuff to not mention Abby, because Abby was a Trojan horse in this game. Mm-hmm. And she played very similar to Joel and all that. And I liked her gameplay too. I just felt like I wish they did more to make me care about her. But I understand a lot of the decisions she made. I can respect that. But I feel that in the sense of like people hating her just because she killed Joel. I mean, in a world like this, everything's gonna have a repercussion for what you do. So like it was only a matter of time that something that was gonna catch up to him. And unfortunately, it made him lose his life. But I feel it's unfair to say you don't like Abby just because she killed Joel. I think it's a little stupid, especially if you didn't play the game. That's just BS. You can't do that. But I like the way they presented Abby. I like the way they kind of gave us this whose side are you on. I wish they just fleshed out a few things story-wise, but I agree with you.
No, yeah. Okay. And
go ahead. No, because I just had some things to say about it, because I'm taking the opposite stance here.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn it! I actually lost my train of thought. Taylor, you said something that I thought was good, but I completely lost it. Maybe it'll come back to me. The whole thing with Abby and Riku. This is something I've, because. I'm not going to say too much, but Riku and I, we have a private chat where we talk about our writing. We do some fiction writing on the side and stuff. And I noticed something with you, Riku. This is your kind of predilection. Like to you like it when any character, doesn't matter if it's the main or a side one, gets fully fleshed out, and you appreciate that, right? My thing is, I don't care how much they're fleshed out if I don't care about the character. You know what I'm saying? So with Abby, it's like I don't disagree with anything you said. The way they showed her redemption arc. But since I don't care about her, I don't care about her redemption arc, I'm like, and at the end, this is one of the things that annoyed me about the game. I had her in the water. I'm like, good, I finally get to kill this fucking bitch, and the fact I didn't get to finish her off, I'm like, come on, you took that away from me. The entire time I was playing as Abby, the 10 hours, I was like, I can't wait to play as. Let me finish. Riku. I was like, I can't wait to play as Ellie. Like, fucking kill this bitch. Like, I've been forced to play as her for 10 hours. I want to kill this woman already. So just the fact that the game denied me, I'm like, ugh. And I understand why they did that. Like you were breaking a cycle. Yes, I understand the thematics. I don't care. That's what I wanted. I wanted to kill her. So and I'll get into it because, I'm conflicted with the whole Abby thing because I don't like her story. I don't like her character. Loved her gameplay. Her gameplay I thought was better than Ellie's section with the set pieces and all the crazy shit. And the whole thing with the scars. Robin?
I was saying, and Abby had a legit boss.
Yeah, she had. Well, I mean, the funny. Yeah, she did. Actually, I mean, Ellie had a boss too, and the boss was fucking Abby. That was kind of interesting the way each character. Each playable character was the boss, And by the way, Naughty Dog loves to, at the very end of the game, hey, we're going to have a fist fight at the end. I'm like, bro, really?
Yeah, they always do that.
They always do that shit. But the most egregious one was fucking Golden Abyss, where it's like, okay, you're going to learn new mechanics right now. Anyway, at least this game set up the melee mechanics, at least. But yeah, with Abby, again, I understand why they did that. And I will, objectively admit that it was well constructed, her path of redemption. But I don't give a shit. I'm like, I don't give a shit, I didn't like her.
Okay, and you say when you had her under the water and you said the game took that away from you.
Yeah.
I feel that's like there's a difference between taking it away from you, Tony, and it taking it away from Ellie, where, this entire time Ellie is going down the same path of revenge. And when Carlos, he said, Carlos, do you remember what you said you felt the premise of the story was, and you felt you didn't need a amount?
Yeah.
What was the sentence that you said? Just tell me the sentence.
They're showing the parallels between both of them and how they're both they're both pretty much the same. They're two branches of this going in the same path, and they just they cross each other.
I
Like they're
remember
both,
you saying something different.
but they're
but
not. No one's really evil. No one's really good. They're just
I think it
depending
was
on
that.
what side you're on.
I think it was that. Okay, so that's what you took away from the premise. For me, what I took away from the premise, if you had to like wrap up this whole story in regards to both Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us Part 2, if you had to wrap it up into one sentence, I feel that the sentence, especially for Last of Us Part 2, I feel that sentence would be going down the path of revenge. Going down the path of revenge never leads to anything beneficial. So when it came to Joel, he went down the path of revenge, and when it came to the beneficial part after revenge, he lost his life, and he didn't get his like closing with Ellie, even though they said they were working towards rebuilding their friendship.
Mhm.
He died, before that happened. Didn't lead to anything beneficial. When it came to Abby, no, let me finish. When it came to Abby going down that path of revenge, she killed, Joel, the guy that killed her father. Path of revenge. What did it lead to in regards to benefiting her? Right? In the process, she lost Owen, she lost Mel, and she lost, a decent amount of people, and the only person she had left was Lev. Didn't really lead to a beneficial version to what she had prior. When it came to Ellie, who is probably the biggest one out of these three, didn't lead to anything beneficial. She was going down the path of revenge, right? And before actually during the farm part, she could have ended it there, where she happily ever after, right? As happily ever after it could get for her. She was with Dina. Dina had a baby. They're in a house. They have this farm. Everything's good. But she's still having these PTSDs, and she still wants to get this revenge. And when she leaves, Dina is telling her, don't do this, don't leave, and freaking Tommy comes in, he's like, get her, what a fucking Tommy
That was weird.
But the point is, she had her happily ever after, but she still wanted to go down the path of revenge. And what did that lead to? It led to her she came back to the house, and Dina was gone. Everything in the house was gone except for her guitar, right? And she goes up to the guitar and she's like, well, I lost Dina and I lost the baby. Everything here is gone, but at least the guitar that Joel left me is still here, right? She thinks she still has. She thinks she still has something. She tries to play it. What happens? She doesn't have her two fucking fingers, so she still doesn't even get that, right? If she had not left that house, she would have been better off than what she is right now, right? She's been better off.
Put a pin on that because I disagree.
She would have been 2 fingers richer.
Yeah.
Two fingers, and she would have Dina, and she would still have that house.
Yeah, Riku, finish your
so
talk.
We don't know what
Yeah.
she did after she left that house. It's up for interpretation, just like The Last of Us Part 1 did. But the point is, during that point, she is not better off than what she was when she was, living happily in that house with them and her 2 fingers. That's the way I see it.
Carlos, go ahead. Actually, just real quick, and then Carlos, I'll let you go. The point I wanted to bring up, Taylor, real quick, was the whole people who are mad that Abby killed Joel. That wasn't me. I'm like, Joel had that shit coming.
Oh, yeah.
And Joel's my motherfucking dude, but I'm like, he had that shit coming. Somebody was going to take him out. So that didn't bother me whatsoever, And I do like the fact that even though because Joel gets killed very early in the game, right? We still get to see flashbacks of him. So it fleshes out his character. I thought that was very well done. But the fact that he got killed, not a problem for me. That was good. That story-wise, it was good that he died because it was like, yep. That
it kickstarted this entire story.
It needed to happen. I feel. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, Carlos, go ahead. What's your response to Rikuson?
So Riku, I understand what you're saying, but I think that's not what happened.
What do you mean? What do you mean in regards to what?
Like you're talking about the road of redemption and the road of revenge, and
go ahead. Explain why.
So Joel went on the road of revenge, and he killed everyone to save Ellie, and then his whole redemption was be a better person and raise Ellie and whatever, tell her the truth eventually. But he got it coming because he eventually got his revenge to save Ellie, so that's why he died. So he lost his life.
Yeah,
Abby-
nothing beneficial. He's dead.
Abby got her revenge. She killed Joel at the beginning of the game, like we just talked about, and she lost Owen and Mel. I mean, she was going to lose them either way, to be honest, because that trio was not going to work together.
Yeah,
that was a love triangle. Plus, Owen was like hell bent on leaving to go find the Fireflies, and Abby's like, "No, just let it go, let it die.
Yeah.
Like they're gone. We can't bring them back." So, like, I feel like
I don't know. That's the thing. You don't necessarily know that they would have died. You know,
but
no, we don't know. But they would have been lost regardless.
Not necessarily die. Yeah, like not necessarily die, but like that whole like. I mean, it's up for interpretation.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm saying if they're sticking friends, you know, she's not with Owen. Owen's with Mel, but they still remained friends all the way up to the point that we see them. I doubt that their friendship would have ended a little bit after that. Even Owen is even trying to get Mel and Abby to become friends, and this is
but Mel wasn't having that, you know.
Mel wasn't having that, but she was actually warming up to her until, you know, something happened and that fell apart. But the point is, if she didn't go down the path of revengeance, that scenario wouldn't even have happened in the first place.
Well, but let me get to the final point though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ellie went on the road of revenge and she lost a lot because of it. But at the end of the day, she's the only character that didn't finish. She's the one that changed everything. Joel killed the people. Abby killed fucking Joel. Ellie didn't kill Abby.
No, but what I'm saying, I didn't
too.
Remember, I didn't say completing the path of revengeance.
She didn't
anything beneficial. I said going down it. She went down it.
No, and she lost a lot of stuff because of it, but she didn't complete it. But at the end of the day, she's the one that lost the most out of anyone.
Okay.
She lost Joel. She lost Dina. She lost everyone.
Fingers.
She lost her fingers.
I'm not giving up on these fingers, man.
But here's the thing: don't you think, in my opinion, in regards to the three characters, you know, as far as what we have been shown, Ellie was the most destructive in this entire story.
She killed the last surviving Vita player.
Yeah, she did. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Vita.
She killed a pregnant woman. She killed Owen. She freaking chased down Nora and killed her too.
She killed the dog, son.
Riku, you're just talking about them because those are characters with names. Abby killed countless scars to the point where she freaking left. Asked her how many scars have you killed? She said, I don't know. There's too much. There's too many to count. So both, it doesn't matter. There's no moral equivalent. Like there's no comparison between moralities between either of them. That's the whole point that I was trying to make. They're all bad people.
Yeah,
they all pretty much most of the characters that live in this world get what's coming to them. Because
you're saying that you want the equality between the consequence of going down the path to be equal?
No, not me. I'm saying you're making the point where people are going. The reason why people are getting what's coming to them is because they went through this path. But I'm like, well, Ellie's the only one that didn't complete the path of revengeance, and she got it worse than anyone.
And she's the one that had it the worst out of everybody. You know. Like she didn't get shit at
Hey, this is life. I never said that these paths lead to equal consequences and whatnot.
No, he didn't. We don't know. Just to be fair.
No, you said you get what's coming to them, and I'm saying.
No, I didn't. You're phrasing my words incorrectly. I didn't say
that.
Anyway.
Rewind the tape, man. I do want to say this real quick though with Ellie. Like, let's just say for the sake of argument, she had stayed with Dina. It's like yes, she would have Dina, the baby, the ability to play, get the car, but she would still like be eaten up inside, right? Because she didn't get that revenge. But now it's actually kind of worse because not only does she lose everything else, she still didn't really have the revenge. You know, at least if she would have had the revenge, she would have had at least something. Now she has nothing, you know, and I found that very unsatisfying. Like, I understand the thematics of it. You know, it's like,
here's the thing.
Let me finish. Like, I understand the thematics of like, you know, revenge, eats you up. It's worse for you. Yes, I understand it. And again, I am speaking about me personally. Personally, if I was in that position, I'd rather have the fucking revenge. Like, even if it eats me up at the end, at least I would have still had that. You know, instead of nothing, letting the person go and knowing they were still out there alive. I'm like, I'd rather kill them. And, you know, even if it fucks me up in there, I'd rather know, okay, they're at least gone and I did something. You know, so
Okay,
that's why it was
okay.
unsatisfying. You know.
Okay, and take this into consideration, right? So, in regards to Abby and Lev's story, I would say it's similar to Joel and Ellie's story in The Last of Us Part 1. We have, a strong character and a little character that helps you throughout the path, right? When it comes to Ellie, if Ellie, obviously this is hypothetical, up for interpretation, all that shit. But the point is, when it came to Joel killing the person, his revenge, he got killed for that, right? When Abby killed the person in her revenge, she didn't get killed for it because of the fact that Ellie broke that cycle. Now, let's say if Ellie didn't break that cycle, right? Let's say that Ellie did kill the person that she was going after, just like Abby did. That cycle would have possibly continued. Like I said, up for interpretation, but let's just entertain the idea that this cycle would have continued, right? If Lev in this story is supposed to be what Ellie won, and Ellie went down a path to revenge in part 2, if Abby, like I said, up for interpretation, if Abby did die from Ellie, we don't know for sure how Lev would have taken that, and if Lev probably would have came back and continued that cycle and killed Ellie anyway.
Unless Ellie killed Lev right there on the spot too, because Lev couldn't protect himself.
Yeah, we know that, but we know Ellie's not that type of person when it comes to that. She probably would have gotten her revenge just like Abby did and left the person who wasn't a part of that revenge out of the
and that would have
scenario.
set up Last of Us 3, you know?
That would have set up Last of Us 3, but that's the thing. If that story did happen, nobody would have learned anything. Everyone would have went down the same mistakes, and that's why I commend Ellie for not making the same mistakes that Abby and Joel made before her.
Yeah.
Going down that path is not right? She showed, in my opinion, she showed massive character development when she decided not to kill Abby during that part, because she did something that both Abby and Joel couldn't do, is, stop right when they were trying to, get what they were trying to get the entire game. So in my opinion, that was the biggest character development right there, is when she stopped and let Abby live and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't disagree with you. I just wanted her to kill her. Again, that's just a me thing.
See, obviously that's Tony. So
yeah, I wanted her to take her out. I've been hunting this chick, man. I'm ready, son. Let's go.
I have a question.
Like I said, that cycle would have continued.
Yeah. Hey, set up the next game. I don't mind. Let's go after Lev. By the way, and this is something Carlos said. Tell me the whole thing with Abby and Lev wasn't Kratos and Atreus, son.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Like, yo, get the arrows in there, boy.
Boy.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Go ahead.
So
go ahead, Carlos. Yeah.
Did Abby ever get bitten? Because if I remember correctly, when Ellie was in the jail cells, I think I remembered the dude saying, "Oh, she got bitten, so she went to the beach."
No. Abby fought back, or she bit somebody. I think that's what it was. She bit somebody.
Oh, so that's
Abby was ripping off people's limbs and shit. She ripped that one girl's earlobe off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, she ripped off Ellie's fingers. Like, she has no problem ripping off them limbs.
Yeah, she really doesn't. I'll get into that when we talk about the gameplay. Yo, Abby was a fucking powerhouse, man. Like I said, I don't like the character, but I like playing as her because I could snap it.
I didn't know I got tickets to the gun show when I saw her in a tank top the whole time.
Like I said,
smashing dudes' heads against the wall, smashing them and shit. I'm like, yo, this is legit right now,
When it came to Ellie's gameplay, I think from story beats, the one thing that I enjoyed the most in Ellie's story was when you had to chase down that bitch Nora. I mean, obviously Nora ain't a bitch, right? But Nora did not have to say what she had to say, right? When she was looking for Abby, I want to come out here and be like, that boy Joel got what he deserved, that little bitch. And then she want to dip? Oh no, yo, I was hyped during that part. That whole chase scene and whatnot, chasing down Nora, because the game puts you, the game up to this point has done nothing but make you see it from the perspective of Ellie, because obviously we don't know shit about Abby during that point. So we're only seeing it from Ellie's point of view. So even myself during that scene, when Nora talked that talk, and then she did. Oh yeah, I definitely want to. I would definitely want to run down that fucking hallway and chase that fucking bitch to the end of the world, right? And then the whole they get into the spores, and then that cut off where the people come in and the clickers come in. And I throw a brick, and then the clicker, they started fighting each other. I was like, this is fucking great. And I ran around all of them and continued to chase Nora. I think in regards to Ellie's part, that was my favorite part. But when it came to Abby, I felt there was more parts of Abby that I enjoyed. Like I said, I'm only speaking from a gameplay perspective that has the story beats in there. The first part in Abby's story that I really fucking liked was that fucking boss, man. The Rat King. Oh my fucking god. When I saw that big nasty motherfucker when you're in the freaking hospital,
yo, that was some Resident Evil shit right there, bro.
Yo, I saw that. I was like, this entire game, I was like, okay, yeah, we saw one up to that point, we saw one new we saw two new enemies. We saw the Shambler, which was cool, and then we saw the Stalker, little skinny guys poking their head in one of them, little nasty motherfuckers. But then I was like, okay, yeah, but give me one more enemy. Give me one more unique enemy. Make this guy like, I don't know, some big nasty motherfucker. And when I played with fucking Abby and they slowly pan in on this big nasty moist grotesque motherfucker, I was like, because I posted and I was like, yo, what the fuck is that, yo? And then you're fighting it. Up to this point, I was saving up all my ammo. I was like, I knew this day was coming. I was waiting all my life for this, man. I got shooting it, running around and whatnot. And then you reach to the halfway point, and then the freaking half of the clicker kind of like pops off of his thing and then runs out there. I'm like, oh god, now I gotta fight two of them. This is lit, man. And you're fighting them, and then you kill the big one, and then the tiny one jumps through the vent, and you gotta chase it and whatnot. All of that was fucking great, man. And that was all Abby's stuff.
Yeah, we'll get into the Abby or gameplay thing, but there's one more story thing I want to address, because this is the other thing that bothered me a little bit. I'm just keeping it real. The whole thing with Ellie and Dina, I didn't like the way that was handled, and I'm going to explain why, right? One of the things what you learn as a writer is you got to stay away from insta love, right? And this is both for heterosexual couples, or gay or whatever, doesn't matter, right? Like I understand they had a relationship prior to it, but in this game, it felt so forced. Like it just happened right away. It's like they fuck, and then the next day they're talking about moving together, getting a dog. I'm like, whoa.
They're calling each other babe.
Yeah, they're calling each other. But like, slow down. And then it wasn't until you find out that Dina was pregnant and shit that they actually introduced some conflict into the relationship. Like, you should have had a little bit of conflict beforehand, bro. Go ahead, Taylor. I see you over there. What do you have to say about that?
No, I mean, I agree with you in that sense. Also, Tony, do you want to talk about that cut content? Because I think I sent you that Washington Post article where it was like they talked a little bit about some of the cut content, and I told you, I was like, I kind of wish they kept some of this stuff
go ahead,
in there.
You can talk about it,
we got to talk about, I feel like we also need to talk about the story in the sense of like the Seraphites, because I got some stuff to say about the Seraphites. Yeah,
go ahead. Yeah, we can talk about that.
But first, I'm gonna offer a rebuttal to the whole thing with Dina. I agree with that. I agree with it. I mean, so like, I mean, representation's cool and stuff like that, but like at the same time too, like it felt a little too forced, but also I also was like collecting a lot of the stuff, and like even when like during the flashbacks and stuff, I was going through like Ellie's journal and like reading stuff. So it's like I could tell that like, and even some of the optional conversations and stuff, that they have been friends for a long time. So they kind of set up, and you kind of have to look for it and be like, okay, it was kind of building up for like years now. But I guess in terms of like, if we're just going like right through the story and nobody's like going through the collectibles or really building themselves and emotionally investing themselves in what's going on in this world and trying to do the world building themselves, they're going to think this is a little forced. But I see what you mean in that sense. And like, if you watch like all of the cutscenes with just all with them and don't even look at all this, like the journal entries and like all that stuff, then I can agree with you with that. Like it feels a little forced, but again, that's like one of those things where it's like, you have to go out and kind of find it to really kind of invest in it and kind of put those pieces together and be like, okay, it wasn't that forced. But I hear what you're saying on that. And like, I get, they could have done a little bit better with doing that in the story because they can't expect everybody to be like me and just try to find everything,
Yeah.
every nook and cranny to like build out this world.
I will say this
yeah.
though, and I really just thought about this as you're talking, right? Ellie actually did have a girlfriend before this, kind of, right?
Yeah.
In the DLC,
Kind
that
of.
was way better done than this. I that was not forced. That was very natural. Like when it happened, when they finally kissed, like that it's been leading to that moment. But again with Dina, it's just like that. Like I understand, I know there was journals and entries, but I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's like they're calling each other babe. Oh, yeah, we're gonna live in a house. We got a dog and shit. I'm like, whoa, slow your roll, son. Like I'm thinking if some girl's telling me all this shit, I'm like, yo, you need to chill, but, yeah, go ahead.
I will say this though, I really liked being in Jackson. I wish we were in Jackson just like a little bit more. I'm not saying I wanted to be there for like 5 hours, but I wish we could have got just a little more of just like Jackson, like because we never, I mean, up until that point and even after that point, we never really, even with like WLF when we saw like the stadium and like that how they built a whole society in that stadium. Like I wish we had just a few more of those moments, especially in Jackson, because it's like we heard all this cool stuff about them in the first game. Like they were making their own crops. They had electricity that they were using from that dam that we stumbled upon Tommy and his group from. Like there was so much stuff that they were doing, and I was like, I want to know more about what's going on here because it's like we see all of the feralness that's going on in this world, but Jackson is a little small slice of heaven where it's like it feels like a sense of normality. I wish we got more of that, and there was like it made me mad, like because I like to emotionally invest myself in worlds when I play a game, especially when it's like with IP I really love, and it's like I wish that like early on in the game they built that up a little bit more because I felt like we couldn't really understand the significance because like you hear it and you look at like documents and optional conversations that like Joel and Ellie played a pretty integral role in like protecting the town and stuff like that, but like I want to see it. I want to see the day-to-day. I want to see how these people really think about Ellie. I want to see these people how they really think about Joel. You hear bits and pieces, but they don't go all the way. They tease it. I'm like, I'm glad you're teasing it, but just don't stick your feet in the water. Just cannonball in the water, please.
Carlos, what was your take? Oh, go ahead, I want Carlos to go first, and then you could go after Riku.
On the forced relationship?
Yeah, the way they set that up, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Tony, even though I don't disagree, because I didn't see it, that there was those journal entries, guys. I forgot to read because I forgot Ellie had a journal every time she kept writing stuff into it, and I kept forgetting. It's like, like you can actually read that journal and see even past entries, even before the game even started. So yeah, I felt it was a little bit forced. I mean, you can obviously that there is a relationship of a kind, like a friendship, because I mean they've been living together for 4 years in a close-knit community where pretty much everyone knows each other. So I mean, I understand that. I just the whole part where like it's like they're calling each other babe like 2 days after they made their first kiss. Essentially, it's like I mean. But I mean, we're putting in our own, experiences in our society. So I don't know how things might move quicker in a post-apocalyptic world.
No, you're right. Maybe you have to move quick, otherwise they're gonna fucking die.
Yeah, So
I mean, to be fair, they were traveling for what, like at least a week before they got to Seattle, because they were in Wyoming and then they had to go all the way over to Seattle. That wasn't like a 2-day thing. Like it took a little bit of time for them to get up there. So I don't know. Maybe maybe that intimate relationship built on a little bit. I'm assuming it did.
Yeah, right.
But I hear you.
Yeah, because we're just basing off what we got to see and experience. But Go ahead. Carlos.
Yeah, you're actually right. And I mean, it's a nitpick more than anything.
Yeah, it is a nitpick.
It's not. It doesn't really hurt the overarching story or anything.
What kind of bothers me is that a lot of people were complaining about the LGBT representation in this game. And, like, especially when it came to, like, Ellie, I'm like, y'all, if y'all didn't play Left Behind, I don't know what to tell you. Because they were, like, Naughty Dog has been pretty upfront with, yeah, Ellie's gay. Like, if you did... I mean, come on now. Like, if you're playing the game in 2020 and you're just now coming to the realization that Ellie is gay, I really strongly think you just need to go back and play that DLC Left Behind, because, like, they were really setting it up and making it quite blatantly obvious. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
you don't need a PhD to figure that out. It wasn't rocket science.
Yeah. Riku, what do you think of that relationship between Ellie and Dina?
Uh-oh.
Can't hear you, Riku. Can't hear you, brother?
We lost Riku. Sony's
gonna DM.
Sony's like, we don't want him saying that.
They don't want to hear what Riku has to say.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Wait.
Okay.
Now we can't. Wait. Yeah. Go ahead, bro.
But I was gonna tell you, this mic is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, when it comes to their relationship, I personally did not feel okay. I think it probably was forced, but the thing that I think needs to be taken into consideration is obviously, firstly, the situation and world they live in. We don't know exactly how that can affect anyone. Secondly, the characters that we're dealing with, both of the characters are, they have their flaws when it comes to making decisions. When it comes to Dina was with Jesse. Jesse, for basically this entire story, all the way up to him getting headshot, seemed like a nice guy, right? Apparently he was doing some stuff in regards to, I guess, telling Dina what to do, and she didn't want to feel, I guess, controlled or whatnot. But the point is, as far as what we've seen, Jesse was a good guy, and apparently it didn't work out. We don't know of that, but Dina decides to choose Ellie as the rebound. When it comes to relationships, rebounds aren't the best way to start off a relationship. Even in real life, when you do a rebound relationship, that is something that is forced. A rebound relationship is a forced relationship. So I'm not going to necessarily hit it as a con to any degree at calling it forced when when you do a rebound in the first place, it is going to be forced. So from a story standpoint, I'm personally not going to knock it. Another thing that has to be taken into consideration is the age of these characters. They're fucking 18. 18-year-olds don't know what the fuck they're doing when it comes to relationships or how quickly they need to go or take things slow or anything like that. So I feel the combination of it being a rebound, the two characters not really making good decisions, and it's shown this entire story, and them being 18, I feel this is probably an accurate of how a rebound 18-year-old relationship would probably look. So I didn't have an issue with any of that.
Yeah, in the apocalypse.
In a zombie apocalypse on top of all of that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Like I said, I haven't, especially when they're continuously saving each other out there. I would assume saving someone continuously has to build a bond with someone far faster than if you just, talking on a Discord call.
All right, yeah.
That's just the way I saw it.
Yeah, for you.
And that's the same thing that's the same thing when it comes to Joel and Ellie, when it comes to them continuously saving each other in The Last of Us Part 1, and their bond so strong. But yeah, go ahead.
Taylor, what's some of the cut content you want to talk about?
Well, there's a few things. Specifically, there was actually something that they cut. There was like two things I think that I remember reading. Did you have a chance to look at it, Tony?
I only glanced at it. I didn't get to dive deep into it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, there was like two things in particular with like focusing on Dina and Ellie that they didn't have in the game, and I was like, kind of they had in the game, but I don't blame them as to why they didn't put it in there, because it wasn't really. I think it was like something about it didn't really build on what the story they were trying to tell, which I was like, okay. I was like, that's fair, but it would have still been cool to see. Like, there was like one instance where, like, remember when they were about to hook up, when they were on the patrol or whatever, and they were stuck in that blizzard. Apparently, the original scene or something was like Ellie was gonna have like a page long monologue saying like, look, like, you kissed me and I like you, but I don't know. And even if you read her journal entries, like, Ellie was like trying to tell herself like, oh, Dina kissed me. Oh, she was just probably drunk. Like, I like her, but like, she's also my friend. I don't want to mess this friendship up. Like, I don't want to overthink it. Like, if she says this in her journal,
she was super
like,
giddy. Yeah, I read that too. She's like, she was literally that was like the most girly I've ever seen Ellie act. And there was in those journals.
Exactly. And there was like in the flashback, there's I think it was like the first flashback when it was like I forget which one it was, but when they went back in time, and there was like a journal entry where like Ellie was dating this chick named Kat, and she was like, and Dina was like jealous or whatever, but she didn't really say it, but like Dina didn't want to hang out with Ellie when she was with like Kat and like all this stuff. So it's like it was quite clear that like these two had feelings for each other, even though they were friends. Like it was hinted as early as like the first year that Ellie was living in Jackson. But there was like a whole 1-page monologue where Ellie was just basically saying like, look, I don't want to be this like rebound chick. And then they had this like really cute moment and like all this other stuff. And I was like, I kind of wish that they put that in there because I felt like maybe that would have gave people a little bit more context as to say like, oh, we're not just kind of forcing this relationship on. I don't know. I felt it would have been interesting to see how it played out. I wish there was like maybe like a deleted scene or something where we could have saw how that scene could have originally went. But I think that would have kind of helped alleviate a little bit of the whole like, oh, this relationship feels a little forced to some people, you know?
Yeah, I feel you. By the way, I'm reading yeah, go ahead.
You are?
Yeah, I was just real quick. It's kind of interesting. The dance scene was supposed to be playable in the original.
Yes, I was about to bring that
up. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was like supposed to be longer. You were gonna see Ellie's ex-girlfriend was like there, and she was like smoking in a corner. You got to interact with like the kids and stuff. Like I was like, again, I wish there was more world building in Jackson because we've like in that universe we never really got to see that fully. We got little bits and pieces, but it was more like a set piece, not a whole like, not necessarily chapter. But I guess we just didn't get enough of it, you know?
Yeah. This is kind of interesting too. Apparently, you got to see more stuff with the Scars. Got to see their society.
Yes.
You actually got to see them actually being nice with each other and all that. See families and children and all that other shit. But they felt they didn't progress Ellie's arc, so they nicked it. You know, that's interesting.
In that sense, I get that, but I have my we're probably going to talk about the Seraphites and like the two factions from Seattle a little bit more. But I have a lot of gripes with that, and I'm a little sad because I kind of liked the Seraphites just a little bit more than the WLF, but I'm sure we'll get to it at some point. But yeah, I mean, like again, like I just feel like there could have been more to kind of build out all that stuff, and especially I really wish that they kept us in Jackson just a little bit longer because like I really wanted to get this idea of like this is all that Ellie's losing to go and kill these people that killed her surrogate father. Like I don't know what I mean, is it just me? Would anybody else kind of feel the weight of that decision on Ellie's part if we had spent just a little bit more time, at least in the early stages in like Jackson or whatever? Or is it just me?
Yeah, no, I mean, like it's a weird thing. It's like I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, like that probably would have slowed the story down even more.
It would. There would have been some pacing issues. I understand why they didn't do that, but I don't know. I kind of wish we just got just a little bit more. Like a little
it sounds
pinch.
like you play some JRPGs.
I do. I love JRPGs.
Yeah, that's probably because I understand where you're coming from when it comes to them expanding on certain things. That's why I liked it when you first started using Abby. You get to see some of the first things you get to see while you're using Abby in the headquarters of Wolves. You get to see basically her day to day. You get to see the people she hangs out with. You meet up with. I think another person had a Vita inside there. You're shooting at the range. You're going out with Mel on like one of her day to days and whatnot. So we got to see some of that when it comes to the Wolves. So I understand where you're coming from that. I enjoyed it all. I personally didn't at any point. No, I think around the end when Ellie was like, "Man, I got to go back out there." When she left the barn, that's when I started to feel like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this story is still going." But a majority of the game, I felt that I didn't feel anything was dragged. But that's probably because I play a lot of JRPGs. So a lot of people that don't really do that, they felt the pacing was off or slow here, and this can get cut out or that can cut. I was eating it all up.
Yeah. No, I didn't really have too much of a problem with the pacing other than the fact that, when I got to Abby, I was like, yo, we're still playing as this chick, really? Like, because
you didn't catch on at that point it was a dual protagonist story?
No, I had no idea. It wasn't until chapter...
As soon as they introduced Abby in like the beginning of the game, I was like, we're going to have to play as her a lot more, aren't we?
I was still in denial. Like, even when I got to the first workbench, I'm like, workbench? Why do I need a workbench for this side chick? And then it wasn't until like Seattle Day 3, I'm like, oh, fuck. That's when I hit, I'm like, oh, I'm going to really go through all this shit now. It's like, come on, what are you doing to me right now?
I guess my reaction to that was way different. I was just like, oh shit, we're using Abby? Okay. Tell me some more about her. What's she about? Because up to this point, I'm like, okay, why did she kill Joel? So I'm, when they're showing the flashback, I was like, oh, okay. So, I'm just invested in it. You're like, I don't give a fuck about this. I want to get back to Ellie. I'm more like, why, okay, Abby, tell me some more. Explain yourself. Let me see your point of view.
Yeah, again, I understand where you're coming from. By the way, this is why this is why I told Carlos right off the bat, because as soon as he got to Abby, he's like, oh shit, I think I know what you're talking about. And I told him, yo, Carlos, you're gonna be there for 10 hours. I didn't want him to suffer what I did. It was 8 hours until I was like, I'm still playing as this chick. What the hell is this? When am I getting back to Ellie? What the hell is going on right now?
There's a decent amount of people. There's a decent amount of people that when they got super deep into Abby's story, they said they didn't want to go back to play as Ellie anymore.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a different people in how they felt about Abby when you started to really get deep in there. I was just enjoying my time with Abby. I was like, just show me everything. Keep on explaining. Like I said, her characters, when you see it from Ellie's point of view, all of them are like, I want to fucking kill them all. But when you see him from Abby's point of view, you're like, okay, Owen's actually a pretty decent person. Mel's just trying to, have her
Survive.
baby. She's trying to have her baby, survive, and also to, the greater good. She's out there killing shit and doing stuff when she really shouldn't, and she probably could have easily get a pass if she wanted to because she's pregnant, but she's still out there doing stuff. So Mel's cool on that and whatnot. I thought Manny was a piece of shit when I saw him spit on Joel. I was like, I'll fucking kill you, Manny. But when you fucking start using Abby and Manny's like your right hand man, you're shooting in the range with him, and then you're when you're chasing down Tommy, you're like, yo, Manny's a cool motherfucker, and then he gets headshot, like, oh Lord, So even Manny, someone that they set up as someone for you to hate. He spits on fucking Joel, and then he's like, all right, time to finish this bitch off. So he come walking up to Ellie with a gun. I was like, oh yo, fuck this dude right here. But you see, I like how Naughty Dog was able to, and multiple times, shift my view on a character. I think the only character they shift my view on that I hated until they died, and even when I saw their side, I still hated them, was Nora. I don't know. For some reason, when Nora said, yeah, Joel died like a little bitch, and she dipped, I was like, I'm sorry. There's nothing they can do after this to save Nora for me. And even when I saw Nora from Abby's side, I was like, no.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you on that. Like, that's the thing. And like, I liked all of Abby's friends, but like, I don't know. To me, Abby I liked her gameplay. I liked the whole like experience she went through, but like, her is just like a person. I just felt she was just a little like a piece of wood. I don't know, like, and it made me a little sad because Manny's cool. I would have a beer with Manny. Nora, I'm still kind of happy she died because Nora was just a whole just mean. Like, you could definitely tell she was like the hard ass in her group, in the friend group, like the I'm not gonna humor you in this. Like, I'm just gonna tell you how it is, and if you don't like it, well, that's tough. That's tough noodles. So but again, like with Abby, it's just like the personality. She's just kind of like very cold, and she was kind of like that even when her dad was around. And I was like, Abby, I just don't got nothing to feel for you, girl. I feel bad that all your friends died because I liked most of them, but I think
the only thing in regards to Abby from a characterization standpoint that made her, I guess, less boring as far as you put it, is when Lev is brought into her story as the main sidekick. When you see Abby go through her story and Lev is right beside you, Lev, we get more characterization on Lev and his whole story and what he's struggling with, and that was all good. Lev is, in my opinion, one of the best characters in here. But when it came to the dynamic between Lev and Abby, like I said, for me it was a similar emulation of what Joel and Ellie had in Last of Us Part 1.
And to like kind of build that, because that was like the only time I kind of was like, I kind of give a crap about Abby now. But again, it took like how many hours had we already spent with Abby at this point?
Yeah, it was a long time.
No, but what I'm saying is that you spend that much time with Abby, and like I said, this is from my perspective. I'm still trying to learn more about her, and like you said, you learn more about the people around her, but her in general, from a characterization standpoint, up to that point, you didn't really get much. But when you did, like I said with Lev, you actually did. Every time they talk with each other, I felt I learned more about Abby more than I ever did prior when she was talking with Lev. And I think one of the biggest parts of that was when she was up when they were trying to get to the building and they were crossing that bridge.
Yeah, the bridge.
I felt there was that was probably the strongest characterization we saw for Abby, because we learned a lot about her. She's afraid of heights, and we actually see at one point in the story, like, she's genuinely afraid of something. Like, it ain't fucking clickers, it ain't fucking dogs, or ain't this shit. She's afraid of heights, and she showed a side that we haven't seen up to this point. We up to this point we thought Abby's this strong, brawling motherfucker, but she's afraid of heights, and she showed it when she's going through that. She's like, oh, Lev, I can't do all of this,
Yeah. No, again, that goes back to what I was saying. It's one of those things, like, I agree with you. That was good characterization. Riku's pointing up his finger. I guess he's got to dip real quick. Again, that was good characterization, but I still didn't care. I'm like, no, like, give me back to Ellie, please. Riku. Yeah. Go ahead, Carlos. Just real quick, because I want Riku to come back, because we're about to get into the gameplay, man.
Ooh.
Yeah, I actually don't disagree with much of what Riku said. I do think though with Abby, her story for me, it made me like the characters around her a lot more than her. Like I liked Mel a lot. I liked Owen and his sort of naivety. Like I think he was like the most naive and most optimistic person in the whole world that we were like seeing. And I liked Manny a lot, Lev, Yara, all of those characters. Like I actually really cared for those characters more than Abby, which is kind of weird. So that's sort of what for me that story did. And yeah, like going back to the whole bridge thing, that part was awesome. Like I kind of wished, I'm like, man, imagine if this was an open world and you get to climb up to this sky bridge kind of thing. That would have been so cool. So yeah, I really enjoyed those aspects of her story.
Actually,
I kind of like
go ahead.
Abby's
Go ahead.
weapons a little bit more, but I guess we'll talk about gameplay.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Actually, before we move on, just real quick, just for fun, what was your favorite like story moment in the entire game? If you could pick one, what was your favorite part?
Oh, this is hard.
Yeah, I got mine, so I'll go first.
You go first. Sorry,
yeah, and it wasn't even a fucking like an action scene or anything. Literally, it was Joel and Ellie in the dinosaur museum. That was my favorite part.
Oh yes, that whole section was just great.
Yeah, and there's two reasons why. Not only did you get the old vibes of Joel and Ellie doing their thing, but it was dinosaurs. Yeah. Dinosaurs are fucking awesome. That was cool.
Put hats on them.
Yeah, and then exactly. And then after that, you get to the space museum and shit. There's that one cool scene where like he gives her like a tape, right? By the way, that tape, if you look at Joel's character model before that, he has the tape in his pocket the entire time, So
that is a neat detail.
Yeah, there's a lot. We're gonna get to that. There's a lot of details in this game. It's crazy. Yeah. So it was cool. Like she puts on the headphones, put on the Sony Walkman and shit, and just listens to the sounds of lifting off into space. And she's imagining. That was such a good scene. I love that entire thing. And again, my favorite parts of the game, were some of my favorite parts were anytime it was Joel and Ellie, because I'm like, yes, this reminds me of the old game. This is dope. This is what I wanted. That I really enjoyed that scene. Carlos, what was your favorite scene?
Actually, you took it from me. That was my favorite story scene, because not because it reminisced like the old parts necessarily, but it's because it's the culmination of the first story, and we already know what's going to happen. So it's seeing those aspects of the story where like, yeah, these people really cared for each other. They're showing Joel, doing this for Ellie, and Ellie, being a little kid, enjoying watching dinosaurs, and going to the space museum, putting a space helmet. That part was really endearing to me. And the only issue I had, and it's obviously this is the biggest super nitpick, because I was like, I had like a fantasy of what would happen like when she played that tape. I'm like, please let it be David Bowie Space Oddity. Like ground control to Major Tom. I was like, oh, that would have made it even more perfect. But yeah, I agree with Tony. That scene was really well done. I really enjoyed it. And I'm not normally the biggest fan of flashbacks, but I think they were done really well in this game.
Yeah, not only was it a flashback, it was a walking simulator part. There was no action in it, but that was again,
like,
and I was
on something.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said building on something, because to me it was an extension of the giraffe scene from the first game, right? That giraffe scene. Tell me when you saw the giraffe scene, you're like, that's fucking Jurassic Park right there, bruh.
That was like my favorite scene in the first game, like no doubt. You know what I also thought was kind of cool? Like this has not. It's that like. The museum scene was not my favorite scene, was my second favorite, but just like on a side note about the cassette tape and stuff, like it kind of brought me back to the first game too, because remember when they were leaving Pittsburgh and Ellie stole like that cassette tape and they put it in the car. I was like, oh, like I don't know, it kind of just reminded me of that. And like I remember she was like, Josh and I was like, oh, does this make you feel nostalgic? He's like, that's before my time. And I thought that was so cute. But my favorite scene, so this is my favorite scene, and it's actually an optional scene, so it's like you can easily miss it if you don't like explore the game and stuff. But like it was like first day of Seattle when you're with Dina and you're with Ellie and you're exploring through the buildings and stuff, and you're like trying, I think it was like when you were trying to find gas, or I guess trying to open up all the gates and stuff, and you go into this music store.
Yes.
And and you can go into if you go into one of the rooms, you can find a guitar in its case, and you can pick up the guitar, you can play it a little bit, and then it'll trigger a cutscene, and then Dina will come in, Ellie will play a song for Dina, and they'll have like a whole little moment and like stuff like that. And they kind of just like, oh yeah, you know, I wish you kissed me that night we were at the bonfire while you played that song, and like all that stuff. Like, and that I thought that was really cute, and like it was just one of those things. It was one of those things where it's like, let's just pause for a moment. Let's pause from the gameplay. Let's pause from all the carnage, and let's just have a cute moment. Let's let them be human beings for like 2 seconds. And so that was my favorite scene. Completely optional scene, and you could easily miss it, but it's my favorite scene.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about that scene, right? I didn't realize that it was an optional scene until I got a trophy for it. I'm like, oh, because I thought, again, because when I play the game, and I'll get more into the gameplay later, I was super meticulous when it came to exploration, right? So I thought it was just part of the regular story because it was such a good, well done scene, right? But and then I get a trophy. I'm like, oh shit, I could have missed that. That's interesting, you know. Also, speaking about trophies, I love how I cleared that entire area. I got a trophy. I'm like, oh shit, that's cool too. You know, because again, I explored every time you get into a building, they give you something to enter another building or whatever. So I thought that was cool. By the way, I love that it was an acoustic version of "Take on Me." You know, like I started hearing, I'm like, this sounds familiar. Hold on a second. And then of course it made me think about when I first heard the song when I was a kid watching MTV and shit. You know, watching the video. Yeah, that was dope. All right, Riku, what was your favorite overall like scene in the game?
Before I get to that, I want to touch on something you said a second. The fact that you said Tay, you said you like the fact that there's certain things in here that, you know, they're missable, but if you do find them, it's a nice treat and whatnot. They said they did that on purpose because Neil Druckmann said when they were developing the game and all that stuff, they wanted a decent amount of like little side things that the player could miss, but if they were journeying through everything, they'll be rewarded for it. And apparently they were one of the developers was talking and they said, oh, but what if the player misses it? We put all this effort into something that they may miss. And they were like, well, you know, I can't remember exactly what he said, but it sounded like he said, oh, well, they will hear it from their friends or they'll see it online and think it's cool anyway and whatnot. But yeah, one of those scenes happened to me where I missed it, and you know, I saw some of my friends. They were flipping on about it, and I wish I saw it, but it is what it is that I didn't. And that was, I don't know if you guys saw it. It was when you have to go into one of the houses to find one of these training manuals, and inside there is a workbench. And when you go to this workbench, someone ambushes you and starts attacking you.
That's scary. I was shook when I got to that point.
That didn't happen to me. I think when I got to that point, I think I found the person before I found the person in the house. So when I went to the workbench, I didn't get ambushed. So
it was so Riku, it was a house and there were rooms and they were inside one of the rooms, but that room was locked because I remember, I don't know how, like I think I tried to get through all the doors first and one of them was locked and then I was like, okay, and then I was like, oh, there's a workbench. So I get to the workbench and I'm like, and someone just grabs you and I'm like, oh shit. That shit scared me.
All I know is it didn't happen to me, and I wish it did. But I thought that was so fucking cool that you know, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, because in your head you're like, okay, I'm in my safe place right now. Time to upgrade my weapons, and then some dude just comes up from behind, and starts knocking the shit out of you. I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. But in regards to my favorite scene in the game, man, bro, I don't know. There's a lot of things that are tied. And like I said one of them was the fight against the Rat King. Another thing that I guess was tied with that is the fight that you have with Ellie. Because here's the thing. You're using Joel, right? In the first game. Joel is shown from a combat and gameplay standpoint to be a strong male that, you know, knows how to shoot a gun, knows how to square up if need be, and, you know, he has some power behind it. You're playing as Abby, it's kind of the same thing, but when you're playing as Ellie, she is more of find an alternative way from like the brute force combat that you probably are used to with either Joel or Abby. She's more going around here, shooting arrows, slitting people in the throat. A different play style. More of evasion instead of aggression. And when you're using Abby, and you're like, okay, now it's time to fight Ellie because Ellie is the boss of this scene. And you're like, okay, time to fight Abby. Time to fight Ellie. And Ellie is the way you fight Ellie is exactly accurate to Ellie. You can't just run up on Ellie and try and fight her. Nah, she's gonna play the way you should know Ellie should play. When you're fighting Ellie, she's like hiding behind stuff. Like, I don't know where the fuck she is. Even if you use listen mode, you can't fucking see her. She's shooting fucking arrows at you. If you're not careful enough, she can turn around and shoot you with a shotgun and then you're dead. I was playing a hard mode, so it was actually kind of a challenge because she did give me a nice handful of times, and then she riles it up. She starts using different weapons. When she pulls out the fucking explosive arrows, like, Lord have mercy, yo, Ellie is going in right now with all of this shit. But yeah, I like that whole fight scene, man. You really had to use like bottles and stuff because like you try and run up on Ellie, man, she's just gonna dodge you and fucking shoot you with a shotgun or whatnot. She had that evasion, man. You really had to like daze her before you really went in there. So yeah, that was one. I would say, like I said, I don't have like one favorite scene, but I have multiple of them. Rat King, that Ellie fight, and a few others. I think they're all like tied.
Cool. All right, let's get into the gameplay aspect. I agree with, because we've already touched on it. Like, yeah, gameplay-wise, this is way better than the first one. There's just so many more options now. More combat options, more traversal options. Stealth, obviously, is a big factor in this, should you choose to go down that route. So I enjoy that. And the gameplay is what kept me going through the Abby scenes. Again, when I was playing as Abby, I'm like, I don't want to play as her. I want to go back to Ellie. But the gameplay, the actual things that happen in the gameplay, the set pieces and all that were so dope. It kept me engaged, right? Like when you go in through that infested building, you have to go through it. It's like there's a bunch of crazy monsters in there. The bridge scene
popping out the walls.
Yeah, and then right before that was the bridge scene. Was dope. With all the scars you got to take down and stuff. By the way. But I think this podcast is showing just how sadistic I am. I enjoyed killing those people, man. Like you whistling, all right, bro, let's see what's up. Right now, I'm taking all you motherfuckers out.
Yo, that scene when you first see them, they hit you with that first arrow.
Yeah.
Did you not jump? Yo, everyone I know that saw when they got hit with that arrow, and Ellie's like, "What the fuck?" Yo, I jumped.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy.
I know I'm a jumpy person. That arrow got me. Came out of nowhere, yo.
One scene I really enjoyed with Ellie specifically. There's this one town that you're going through. It's like a couple little suburban town and stuff, and just going through all those buildings and stuff, and just that was actually was playing very stealthy. That was going there, just taking everybody out. The only things I was like not stealthy about because you kind of couldn't be around them. The dogs. By the way, in real life, I love dogs, right? I'm a dog person. Cats, I'm not a cat person like that. Cats are cute, but they're too finicky. You know what I'm saying? A dog is loyal and shit. I like that. I like a dog.
What you're saying is you don't pet bodega cats.
Yeah. No, bodega cats cats are cool. I respect the hustle, but I can't be having no cat. They're not loyal creatures. Dog is loyal, right? But in this game, bruh. Yo, when I saw a dog, those were the first ones I took out. Because they always blew up your spot. Always blew up your spot. So I saw a dog, I'm like, let me get this arrow ready real quick. Bam! And when they came at you, I'm like, all right, bro, let me take out this machete real quick. So I had no problem there. I was murdering dogs, son.
I agree with you. Yeah. And I like the way set up the entirety of dogs in this game where up to before you even get to play Abby and all that stuff, they train the player to think as dogs as an annoying enemy.
Yes.
You see a dog, man, you got to take that snitch out, because he is definitely going to snitch your location. He out here snitching, man. You got to take him out.
Up the spot, man.
And every time I saw him, I would try to take him. I don't care, man. Maybe PETA, get at me. I would take out the dogs in the worst way possible. If I gotta smack the dog in here, I don't care. I saw a dog. Oh, where my explosive? Where my explosive arrows at? Let's go.
Oh damn! I didn't go that far. I was like, he's taking my mercifully.
I went that far, yo. I saw. No, fuck that. I saw the dude who was walking with his dog. Yo, I pull out the explosive arrow. It hit that dog and it exploded like a fucking water balloon. I was like, yeah. yeah, let's fucking go. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't care.
To be fair though, I did throw some Molotovs at dogs. They was like, all right,
That's
bro.
the thing. I was like, I don't fuck with snitches, and these dogs are snitches, and the game has trained me to think fuck dogs, you know, in regards to this world. But when we come to Abby, one of the first thing you do is you have the dog. The dog has I can't remember what the dog's name is. If anyone remembers, let me know. But you're playing with the dog, you're playing fetch with it, and it puts you in, at least it put me in, a different perspective. You know, the way we see dogs in real life, you know, where you love dogs, you play fetch with them, they're loyal, and all this good stuff. And then, you know, before you even get to all of that, you know, one of the last dogs you kill in Ellie's story, you know, jumps you fucking shank it, and up to that point, you literally hear Ellie say it, "Fuck dogs," you know, or "fuck that fucking dog," or it's just something along that lines. And in my head, I'm like, "Yeah, fuck that dog," and I'm going through it and whatnot. But when you get back to the Abby scene, and you know, you open the area and you see the dog that you were playing with, that Ellie killed, and previously you were that person where you were just like, "Yeah, fuck that dog," but now you're sitting here with Abby like, "Damn. I was playing, you know, that was one of my main dogs. Fuck. Naughty Dog really made me feel like a piece of shit."
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
That's funny, man.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that whole thing. I think I was watching one of Jim Sterling's videos, and he was talking about they're trying to make me feel bad for the dog, but I didn't feel that bad. I was like, maybe because I don't know, you don't fucking have a soul. I don't know. But they hit it right with me. You know,
yeah,
and
they
got their thing accomplished when it came to me, and I feel that's probably the same case with a decent amount of people that saw what they were going for.
Yeah, no, when I saw the dead dog, when I came back as Abby, I'm like, oh, that's fucking sucks. I didn't feel too bad about it because obviously the dog jumped Ellie. He got what he deserved. You know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't have been messing with Ellie in the first place, bro. You know,
I mean,
no
he was protecting the perimeter.
But I was Ellie you're messing with. Like, listen, if I gotta take a side here, I'm taking Ellie's side. You know, but I do want to say again, because I was talking all that stuff about Abby. Yo, again, I loved her gameplay because she was so fucking overpowered. It's like, bro, she's taking regular human skulls and smashing them like watermelons against walls, smashing you know, like with her boots. Like,
this whole ass She-Ra. It was crazy.
I thought it was mad funny when Abby and Ellie were fighting, and Abby had Ellie right where she wanted her. And then Dina's pregnant ass tried to hop in like she could do something. And then Abby was like, "Man, bitch, if you don't bow," started smashing her head against the
that
floor.
was brutal, son. You know, that's why.
Dina, what did you really think you was gonna do against arguably the strongest female we've seen in this fucking franchise?
Yeah,
what I thought you was gonna do against her,
like, bro,
hopping in here. Like, what?
Test fight. That, like, I would like to see that.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
That's funny. I was like, Dina, you stupid.
That's why at the end, you know, they had to depower Abby just to make it a challenge. Because that was like a full powered Abby. Abby, you already saw what happened the first time. You know?
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Poor Ellie just in a pool of her own blood, just like had such a face of just defeat in her look, and Abby's just like, get out.
Yeah.
But that was another thing I would like to bring up. That whole path of revenge and redemption that I was talking about. It was interesting when it came to that specific part because of the fact that Abby was about to go down the path of revenge again. When she was on the path of redemption with Lev and whatnot, but when she came back and saw that her friends were dead, she was about to go down the path of revenge again. And she did when she ran all the way up to their headquarters, saw Jesse, headshot Jesse, and told Ellie to come out, and they had their fight. During that point in the story, she was actually going down the path of revenge again. But you know, when she had Dina, you know, knife up to her neck, and Ellie's on the floor like she's pregnant. You know, from Abby's point of view, Abby knows that Ellie killed Mel, and Mel was pregnant. So she said, good, I'm going to kill her too. You know, she's down the path of revenge. She feels that she's in the right for doing this. But it was Lev that brought her back from that and said, let it go. You know, let her go. Stop all of this. You know, which was why I considered Lev one of the best characters. But the point is, if Abby was still not showing any progression, she would have said, nah, fuck that. I'm killing Dina right now, and she would have killed him. That would have showed that Abby is not a good character. But Lev told her to stop, and she did, because she's growing as a character, and she stopped. The old Abby probably would have killed her, The new Abby, during this path of redemption and trying to be a better person through Lev, stopped and let Ellie live again. Let Ellie and her girl live again, and left again, for the second time. It's like, I like that. I like that whole aspect right there as well. And then Ellie still couldn't let it go and went after again. But yeah, I like that whole part.
I want
I
to talk
blame
about
Tommy for riling her up at the end.
Oh, Tommy, yeah,
definitely.
he was
Like,
gassing
you
her
know
up.
I can't do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
But who knows how?
See, but by the way, was I the only one that was like out? Because when Tommy was talking, I'm like, yeah, man, let's listen to Tommy, man, let's do this. Let's end this right now, son.
Man. I was like, just live out your.
I was with Dina. I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, no, I was like, listen to Tommy, let's go, let's end this, man. This chick needs to go.
For me,
It
I was like,
Red Dead Redemption 2 epilogue stuff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. A way Red Dead Redemption, and I like that because everybody gets revenge in that. I like that. Go ahead, Carlos.
well, it's like for me, it seemed because I know there was a significant time jump between Tommy back in Jackson and Tommy in that little barn house thing. It's like it just seemed out of character because remember Tommy. Go ahead.
I mean,
Go ahead. Oh, what I was gonna say is, you gotta remember that that Tommy right there is the Tommy that was chased down by Abby and Manny, thrown off a fucking cliff, and then he was also shot in the head and almost died from Abby when Abby was going on her temporary path of revenge.
Yeah,
so I feel during that, from Tommy's perspective, he was definitely about that fuck Abby life, but he was just so fucked up that he couldn't do it. He was just so fucked up during the time that he couldn't take out his revenge, which is why he came to Ellie to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's how I saw it.
That makes sense to me because the way I was looking at it was Tommy didn't want Ellie to to essentially go potentially get her life taken away just to get revenge. He was going to put that burden on himself. So now, flash forward to a couple of months or years or whatever, however long it took, in that scene, I guess Tommy doesn't have the capabilities to get revenge for Joel, and that's why he's harping on. Ellie.
He was goading Ellie to do it for him.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
That's how I interpret it too. Yeah.
Yeah, same. He when he came to Ellie, he not only wanted to make her do it in the name of Joel, because he was using that as trying to push Ellie to do it, but he also wanted Ellie to do it. He also wanted Ellie to do it for him as well, because of the shit that Abby and Manny put him through, and then Abby coming and fucking shooting him and kicking him and all that stuff. So he was doing it. I feel.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I felt. At least from what I took away from it, he was doing it for two reasons when he went up to Ellie during that scene. But like I said, he was too fucked up and messed up to go out and do it himself. Interesting, because when a little bit after that, when they make you use Abby, I thought for some reason, that Tommy was gonna show up. He's like, "Arr, kill you," and he'd be like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna kill you, old man," and you just kill him and then keep on moving on. That's what I really thought was gonna happen, or something. He was gonna try and do something that was gonna fuck with Abby, then he was gonna kill Tommy, but he never showed up. I guess Tommy was just like, "Oh, Ellie's not gonna do it. Oh well, I guess I'm just gonna let this go." I don't know who the fuck knows what Tommy did after.
Yeah. By the way, it sounds to me like we're about that's gonna be the sequel. It's like Tommy's trying to get his revenge on fucking Abby, because she's still alive.
Make it a DLC.
Yeah, make it a
DLC.
They already said they're not gonna have a DLC anyway.
Oh really? Okay,
they already said no DLC for this whatsoever.
I'm still a little depressed.
Yeah, I want to talk about the workbench real quick, because usually I'm not the person that likes crafting in games. Like, just give me my weapons, let me go out there and kill some shit. I really enjoyed the crafting in this. Not only that, the upgrades actually felt tangible, right? Like, because this game, even I mean, just to be fair though, even when you upgrade everything to the max, it still feels like a lesser version of Uncharted. The mechanics are not as tight, but it makes sense because you're not a fucking superhero or whatever, But I do like how there's tangible upgrades to it, and I like how the game always gives you just enough so you can keep upgrading stuff. Upgrade your guns, your melee weapons, your health, and all that. I really enjoyed that. So what did you guys think of the crafting in the game? Carlos, you go first.
Yeah, the crafting was pretty cool. I like the animations. The only issue I had with the animations is that sometimes Ellie or Abby blocked what like they're like they kind of did something to the left, and it's like you're blocking it. I'm trying to see what the hell you're doing. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I agree that they sometimes like the upgrades made sense. You know, some added scope, some added stability, some added firepower. I kind of wish there were some upgrades where you added more, and there were some, but kind of more. It was like more ammo for some of the guns.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had no qualms with it, and I upgraded. I'm pretty much done with upgrades, and I've only done one playthrough. I think I have like, maybe 80% of the upgrades done for all of my weapons.
Mhm.
So if you scavenge enough through your first gameplay, you'll upgrade your weapon significantly. Another thing that kind of sucked was when this has nothing to do with upgrades, but maybe it does with the ammo part. But when you get your holsters and stuff to get your weapons quicker throughout your gameplay. Sometimes like I would run out of all my pistol ammo for both pistols. I would run out of my arrows. I would run out of whatever the flamethrower or whatever the other one was. But I still had another bigger weapon. I'm like, damn it! I'm fighting against the Rat King. I'm like, I don't have any ammo left, and I have to scroll to the left and hold square, and hopefully I get the right weapon. It's like, damn it! That was pretty.
What
annoying.
difficulty were you playing on?
Normal.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Carlos, that did happen.
I heard
to
the
me
only
too.
difficulty.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I heard the only difficulty difference between normal and hard was as far as what I'm hearing from someone that played normal and hard, not me, my friend. He said that he felt the only difference was the scarcity in the amount of supplies that the game gives you.
That's usually what it.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah. I was going to say, Riku, I don't know about that because you said that Ellie, when you were fighting against her, she was using explosive arrows. She didn't do that with me. The most hardcore weapon she used was a shotgun. Other than that, that was it. She didn't use no flaming arrows or nothing, Oh,
interesting. Yeah, she used explosive arrows on me. She went from, what did she? I think she started off with pistol, then arrows, then the shotgun, then explosive arrows.
Yeah, no explosive arrows for me. Yeah.
That was the. Yeah. But that's what I heard as far as scarcity. But I was playing extremely meticulously, and like I said, every time I got the opportunity when it came to killing someone, I would see, is there an alternative way to kill them that doesn't use any ammo? Is there a bottle nearby? Because I could throw this bitch at you and run at you with a melee. Because I will, or I'll find one of those bats and I'll hit them with. If you throw like a bottle or a brick at someone and then hit them with the bat, that's one hit kill.
Nice.
So I would do that a lot. Or when your bat only has like one gauge left in its durability, if you upgrade it, you bring it back to full durability capacity. So I was doing a lot of stuff to not use ammo. Even at the end of the game, where my other friend was talking about how during the epilogue, him running towards the river to find Abby, he said he had one fucking pistol left and whatnot. I was like, bro, when I reached there, I had everything. I don't know what you're talking about, but different play styles, I guess. But yeah, I was super fucking scarce when it came. Like using my guns were like the last option for me. So that's when I reached the Rat King. I was like, yo, bro, I'm throwing the kitchen sink and everything at this motherfucker. So I was ready for the Rat King by that point.
Yeah, no, I played it on normal, but I didn't play. Like I tried to be stealthy at first, but I'm like, this shit is taking way too long. Carlos, we had a discussion. I was like, this shit is taking long. I'm just going in there. I ended up playing like those videos from that Shunhei guy or whatever the hell his name is. You know what I'm talking about. Like I was going there, like I was like, the weapon was my first resort, Riku. I was like, really? New spot, bam. I was like, let's set this shit off. Let's fucking go. I was like, I ain't got no patience for this. So my play style was very different. Like during the when I wasn't doing anything, the exploration, I took a long time, like checking every door and everything, being mad meticulous about it. I did get very mad when I was like, let me go through this door. I don't think this is the correct door to go through to progress the story. I go through it and progress the story. I'm like, God damn it, I just got locked out of the other shit.
Yeah.
But when it came to combat shit, but again, this game, and I'm just speaking about normal, I still felt it was very meticulous. Even with my play style, like when I got to the Rat King, by the way, is that his official name, the Rat King? I'm thinking about Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, that is his official name.
Because when I got to
when you check the the gallery and you look at all of their models, that's what they call it there. That's
Okay.
why I was like, okay, I guess it's called the Rat King.
But yeah, again, I was not really trying to be scarce with ammo because the game just was, to me, was very generous with it. So by the time I got to him, I had plenty of fucking ammo. Didn't have to deal with him. Granted, I didn't craft enough like health things, so I was like trying to craft it while this dude's coming after me. But I love that whole section because as soon as I stepped into the hospital, I'm like, this shit just turned into Resident Evil, and he was the icing on the cake, the exclamation point. Like, yep, this whole section is Resident Evil. That is a Resident Evil ass motherfucker right there, you know. And then especially when he broke apart and you got to fight him, like, yep, Resident Evil right there. This is straight up Resident Evil. That
Game
whole
definitely
scene-
made me want to play more Resident because I don't know if you guys know this. I never like fully played a Resident Evil game before, and the fact that all 7 of them are on PlayStation 4, maybe I should hop into hop into them because if there's one franchise that the company makes sure you can easily play these games, it's it's fucking Resident Evil.
Yeah,
Like I said, 1 through 7, all on PlayStation 4. So I'm like,
You can skip 6.
if I am
real.
I've heard like one. I heard like one person say they like 6. You know, like fuck it, I'll play 6. I played fucking Final Fantasy 8. I'll play fucking 6. But the point is, if I'm the type of person, I felt I was doing a pretty good job when it came to playing on hard and scarcity in the ammo, and I heard all of that.
That's all Resident Evil.
If you're about that life, go play Resident Evil. So I'm like, maybe I fucks with Resident Evil because I think with me, for me, I think what it is the fact that I don't really play survival horror games. You know, I played Last of Us probably because I'm a Sony bunny and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the only game that I really played and got deep to it, and it was fucking Dead Space, and Dead Space is dead. So it's just like I really don't.
If you play Dead Space, you gotta play some Resident Evil, man. Shit.
Yeah, that's
Dead Space is not Resident Evil, like literally.
Yeah, I think what the thing was with Dead Space is because Dead Space was sci-fi and it had the cool armors and it had the cool weapons. When I saw the cool weapons, I was like, "Oh, that's like Ratchet and Clank." So I played it. I think that was the thing. When I saw the little tiny weapon wheel that I had and it had the cool line gun and all of the cool guns in space, and the fact that it was futuristic, to some tiny degree, it reminded me of Ratchet and Clank. You know, you change your armors and everything. So I think that's what it was. But I definitely should give Resident Evil a chance in the future, especially since all of it is so easily
especially if you like this game, because but that scene right there was dope. And then the other scene I really liked was the island when it was getting invaded, when you're going through all that, and that was that was dope. What was cool about that is I was like, oh, I got more motherfuckers to kill. I was shooting everybody on both sides. I didn't give a shit. It was like,
that was cool too.
Yeah, anyways, I was shooting.
Yeah, they were shooting each other. Like there were some points where I'm like, okay, they're killing each other. Let me go around, right? But it basically, I just cut through. And if anybody was in my way, Scar or Wolf, you're done. You know.
I just find it funny. It's like, it's Abby, it's Lily.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
Like, Abby, Lily, word, bam.
That was funny. That was funny because it's cool. That's nice that you mentioned that. But it is cool that both Abby and Lily at that point in the story are considered from their groups that they were from, quote unquote, traitors.
Yes.
So every time they saw Abby, they're like, oh, Abby, you bow, or it's like, Lily, what are you doing? First of all, my name is not Lily. Bow.
Yeah,
like,
put respect on that
is
name,
cool.
man.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, that was cool. I like the fact that both of them, the fact that when Yara was killed, and Lev told Abby, your people killed Yara, and then Abby's like, you are my people. She's basically solidifying that, she's not a part of that anymore. Those guys are legit my enemies, and you are the only person right now that I genuinely care about and trying to save. And Lev, when I clicked with Lev, that's when it was like, all right, these two, they're a fucking duo.
Yeah,
I like that. I liked all of that.
Yeah, Taylor, favorite gameplay moments.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was kind of fun to play. It was like that one scene. It was like kind of like a horde mode sort of thing when it was right after you meet with Lev and Yara and you guys are like trying to escape.
Yeah.
And then Abby thought that she just like straight up ditched them because they're like, oh god, we hear all these infected coming. We just gotta dip. And I liked that. I thought it was kind of fun because it's like the last time like we had a similar thing. I think it was in the first game when like Joel was like being hung up when he was in Pittsburgh or whatever, and you had to like try to kill out all these infected and like all this other stuff. And like I like that type of chaos. But I also really liked, I mean, most of the stealth scenes I really liked, like the hospital scene, like when you're just at the hospital and you're playing as Ellie. I liked that a lot too, because I was like, there's just so many different ways you could go about this. And especially like the scenes with like, when you're playing as Ellie, it was like when you guys are like down in the like the metro station, and when you're in the hospital in that like at the like on the bottom floor when you're chasing after Nora. I liked those scenes a lot because I was like, I like that when there's like infected, but there's also WLF. So I was like, ooh, I don't even really have to do a whole lot. I can have them just kind of kill each other, and then I'll just pick off the rest of them. And those are like my favorite scenes. Like you can get so creative with your stealth, and it's great.
Yeah, no, there's this one point. This is right at the end of the game, right where you enter their compound, and there's a bunch of chained infected. I loved unchaining them and just letting them do my work for me. You know, I would enter the building. It's like, oh, they took care of everybody. Fantastic. You know.
What Tay was saying in regards to there's so many different ways that you can approach this, or you could just let them fight it out. I think that is a one of the biggest draws to people that are playing the biggest genre of this generation, which is battle royales. When I hear and watch my friends that are heavy into that battle royale stuff, Apex Legends, I don't know how many times I hear their tactic of, hey, look, we are considered team A. That's team B and team C, and team B and C are fighting each other. Let's sit back and watch team B and C fight each other, and then we will come in and fight them later. But just let them fight it out right now. Just chill, let them fight. You know, there's different ways you can approach it. And apparently that's one of the biggest draws when it comes to that genre. And, you know, for us that probably don't play that genre, we got that through, you know, those scenes in The Last of Us where we see the two factions that are fighting each other, but also including clickers and whatnot. There's always like three forces. Well, not always, but there was a decent amount of times where there's three forces on the, I guess, battlefield fighting each other, and you are one of those, and you're just like, you know what, right now, fight it out. I'm gonna just chill back. Especially me, you know, with me conserving ammo and shit. I was just like, bro, I ain't shooting none of these motherfuckers. You can fight each other. You know, I'll find a bottle, maybe walk around here, bash a motherfucker in the back of the head, take his ammo, and just keep on moving and whatnot. But if they saw me, I'll run back and let them all fight it out and whatnot. Yeah, there's different ways to approach it, but I do like the fact that it's a decent amount of scenes were more than just you versus you, the enemy, and then a third party all fighting for their own thing, whatever that was. I like that too.
Yeah, there was this one scene, and Carlos, I'll let you go next. So there was this one scene I saw on video. I didn't do this myself, but it was so dope. There's this one scene where you have the clickers and a bunch of wolves after you, right? It was red in the subway, right? So, you know, the way I played it was I threw a brick, let the clickers do their thing, and I got to the train and moved on, right? So the video I saw was basically you grabbed one of the wolves, right? Obviously, the dude screaming and shit. Clicker comes, and normally the animation is the clicker grabs you and starts biting your neck. No, he grabs the guy you're holding and starts biting his neck. You're like,
I saw that too.
Shit, this is crazy.
Yeah, that is cool.
I gotta try this. I think that's like in the hospital section too.
And that was one of the things I was talking about in regards to when it came to me. I missed the workbench thing, and I feel a little left out. But the fact that I know that it exists, I still respect it, and it's cool that my friends got the supposed to be experience. I feel that is the same thing when it comes to that part right there, where someone thought that, hey, what if I hold someone hostage and hold them, while the clicker's coming? What would happen? And it's cool to see that Naughty Dog took that into consideration, that the clicker's just not going to walk past them and fucking bite you. It's going to fucking grab the person in front of that you're holding and start eating him while you sit there and, get away. I couldn't even, that wasn't a thing that would pop in my
I didn't even
super cautious head. My super cautious head wouldn't do anything. I think it was probably 3 or 4 times I may have grabbed someone and held them against their will and then shoot the person and then killed the person that I was holding. I only did that a few times because I was just so cautious in my play style that I would never put myself in that situation. But it's cool that someone that would put themselves in that situation got rewarded to see such a thing that Naughty Dog put there for people like him.
Yeah, no, I love the
that is
attention to
cool.
detail. And I did this by accident too when I was holding somebody hostage. Like usually you press square, to kill him or whatever. So by accident I hit R2 and I blew his brains. I'm like, oh shit!
Damn,
like that's
I didn't
crazy.
know that.
Yeah, and then you actually
I
see
never
the
tried
blood
that.
like
Yeah, I was-
splat out. Yeah,
It's a wild animation, but it's like if you're into that stuff, like you will be rewarded.
yeah, you will be, and yeah, no, you definitely will. And then the cool thing is like if you do that, if you look to the side on the floor, like the blood actually sprayed out and hit the floor. I'm like, oh shit!
Yeah.
Like, I love
The
that
technical
attention to
side
detail.
of the game is just like incredible. It is incredible.
Naughty Dog is like a master of that, and this all started with them like literally in Uncharted 2. One of the big deals was like in the train sequence, they had bottles where the liquid actually moved independently, of the bottle itself. Like, oh, that's cool. And then they made it crazier with Uncharted 3, where you have a boat that has a pool, so there's water outside the boat that's moving the boat independently, and then the water in the pool's moving independently. It's like Naughty Dog are
Or
crazy,
even from
man.
a game, or even from a standpoint where you would in like the last Uncharted 2, where if you were on a like ledge higher than the person and you shot them and then you did a melee, it would do like a kick instead of like a regular melee or a slide kick or not. Or then in Uncharted 3, where if you're above someone and they are low on health and you jump and press the melee button, you're gonna like elbow drop and kill them. Like this
you
is
can
cool.
do that in this
cool
game.
little
Yeah,
things.
I did that in this game too. I was Ellie. I was
Really, you
above
can
somebody.
do air melees?
Oh yeah, I was like, hold on, this is naughty. Because I questioned, I'm like, can I do this? I'm like, this is Naughty Dog, bruh. So I ran off the ledge. I'm like, bam, killed him in one hit.
Yeah, like when I saw
That's
you do
interesting.
that, I was like, ooh man, they're gonna put this in The Last of Us Part 2. I just know they are, and I tried it out. Like that felt heavenly.
Yeah, but
I didn't know you could do it. That's cool.
Yeah, you can't.
I heard you couldn't do it.
Physics, it works, but because like you're higher up, you're going down fast.
You got all that momentum, all that weight, all that force.
Yeah. That guy who posted those videos, he did that in his like run. Like I was like, Yo,
if you can tag me that, I want to see it.
Yeah,
if you see it again, that is.
Anyway, Carlos, favorite gameplay moment.
There was this one moment when I will. Oh no! First of all, let me go back, and maybe Tony's the only one that's gonna get this. But remember that one E3 trailer that we reacted to.
Yes.
The infamous is that gameplay.
Yeah.
Yo, when I got to that part, I'm like, I got mad nostalgia, man. I'm like, finally, I'm there.
Was it the pharmacy scene?
Yeah, it was a pharmacy scene. But the only disappointing part is there was only that one dude that popped up. There wasn't like the other people. But yeah, that was pretty cool. But two things. The first thing, which is not my most favorite, but it was really great, and it's like a Naughty Dog staple, and it's an underrated moment for me, which is at the very beginning when it's Abby, Joel, and Tommy, and you're running away from the horde of zombies, and you're traversing through things, and you're running, and it's like, oh, they're almost getting you. You just escaped. Like that like those set pieces are like classic Naughty Dog, and those are the things that I love about their games. But in terms of actual combat, one thing that I really the combat, I was like Riku at first. I'm like, I'm gonna go in like stealth, I'm killing this zombie, stabbing it, going through this part, I'm gonna sneak by that, but I'm like, this is taking way too long. So I'm like, I just went full like Leroy Jenkins at like for the other part of the game, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go in, I'm running. Like that's the cool part, you can run. It's like, oh, like you're running and then like someone shoots an arrow at you and then you just stopped and fall to the ground and you're shooting your gun on while you're like trying to drag yourself out of the area, and like that part is awesome. And also like one of the cool things is like one of the scariest moments I was in that game was I was like hiding behind a cover shooting people from not across the map but like from a distance, and then suddenly this big motherfucker just comes lunging towards you with a freaking axe. Like those like they're like brutes. Like there's like several of those type of characters that hold the melee weapons that kill with one hit.
Oh
and then you pick up that weapon and you're like, oh, it's going down, because it only takes one hit and you kill them. So I'm like, I'm just gonna run towards these motherfuckers and stab them. You go running with a pickaxe and you're like, damn. you run, man. That
I would save those for a clicker, bro. A fucking clicker thing. Oh yeah, because I don't have a melee. You my hand away and bite my neck out. Nah, I got this big ass fucking sledgehammer. Those things for the clickers, yo. Yeah, I fucking love that shit. And I do like the fact when you see Ellie, the first time you see one of those is when you try to open up a door and the big dude busts and fucking grabs you up and you have to fight him and whatnot. I killed him. I fucking shot him in the head once with an arrow. It was funny. But when you do it with Ellie, Abby though, and you see the big girl, freaking Big Betsy or Big Gretchen.
I call her Big Bertha. That's what I call her.
Everyone's calling her Big Bertha. Yeah, everyone's calling her Bertha. I called her Gretchen. I was like, oh shit, big fucking Gretchen's here, yo. I called her
Gretchen. I'll give you that.
I was like, yo, I thought the biggest bitch in this game was Abby. Yeah. No, it's just fucking big. Yo, I was like, yo, this is great. And then when you see her again and Abby's like, she has my shit. I was like, yo, she actually does. She's wearing your backpack. And I was like, oh hell no. That shit was great.
Oh no, you going down now, girl.
Oh yeah. And that was the one thing I was like, square up. First of all, you don't even have you probably have like 1 or 2 shots in a pistol that you have. So I was just like, fuck that. I'm not wasting my fucking ammo on this on fucking Gretchen. Square up, yo. Square up. I don't know how it was on normal and hard. I mean, I don't know how it was on normal, but on hard, some of the enemies, let's say you try to do a 2-punch, your first punch will hit them, but some of the enemies, especially the big ones, they won't flinch and they'll just swing through and hit you before you can get your second punch out, and then they have the upper hand. Mm-hmm. So what I would do when I saw that this shit was happening, I would punch and then I would dodge and then they would swing and then I would run in and punch again and then they would stagger. So it was just like I felt that that made their gameplay just a little bit more deeper than it actually was also, and I appreciated that also. So it's not like, oh yeah, if someone's in front of you, just especially if they're not a fucking clicker, just melee them and you'll win. That's not necessarily the case when it comes to those enemies. So I like that too. That gave their dodging more of a purpose than just if you're not attacking the enemies about to hit you, you just dodge. That gave it more of a reason to dodge because now they're unflinchable for that first hit. So you punch them and then you dodge. They swing and then you punch again. So that made me respect their melee combat even more.
Yeah, the dodging in this was very Souls-like, with like the anime.
Yeah.
It was like what do they call it? Dodging like porn or whatever. It's like
more like Bloodborne because you aren't rolling, but in Bloodborne you're kind of like like sidestepping and whatnot. I was definitely doing that against the Rat King, man. Because the first time I fought the Rat King, I tried to sidestep to the right, but he caught me, and it was just a 1-hit kill. He picked me up and ripped me in half. I was like, damn. But the second time I fought him, I was dodging the right ways and whatnot, and yeah, that's when I was just like, man, this dodge is so fucking good, man. That dodge just makes The Last of Us Part 2 far much better from a gameplay standpoint than Part 1. Just that dodge,
dodge is
all
awesome.
the extra shit. Man.
All right, I want to start wrapping it up, so let's get our final thoughts in here. Taylor, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, so I really like this game. It's definitely on my list of just like favorites of this year. It's not for everyone, and I know that like just given everything that's going on in the world right now, a lot of people probably don't want to play it because it might feel just a little too close to home, but not really. But I guess in the sense of like a pandemic and like that fear and like all that stuff. I really like the gameplay. It's every time Naughty Dog just makes a game, the gameplay just gets better and better. Mm-hmm. And the story was a little shaky in some parts, but I liked it for the most part. I liked a lot of the characters that were in the game. I thought the acting was great. I thought the whole emotional kind of like investment that I had in a lot of the scenes, I felt like it was there. There were times I was actually crying because I was like, oh my god, this was just very. I felt that like it felt like I feel these characters. I like these characters. I care for them. Like this is just really sad and this is really depressing. And it's like I can't believe they have to go through this. I wish that they added a little bit more depth, specifically when it came to the feud between the Seraphites and the WLF. I liked the Seraphites as a faction, but I felt like with Ellie, it was just kind of like an afterthought. It's like, I get it. Like these two factions are trying to fight for resources in Seattle, but I wish that we had got a little bit more backstory on the Seraphites. And like Yara and Lev kind of gave us a little bit of that idea of like, hey, they're pretty much religious zealots and they're pretty much nutcases. But the whole like war and like the whole thing like about that, we get bits and pieces of it from the documents if you collect the artifacts and like collectibles and stuff like that. But like, I just kind of felt like I didn't really know a whole lot about this feud or just the Seraphites in general, and I kind of wish I did because I would have been a lot more interested in this war that they have with the WLF. But in conclusion, I think it's a great game. I like it a lot. It's the sequel. It wasn't exactly the sequel I wanted, but it's the sequel I'm glad that existed because I felt like this sequel needed to happen. And like, if we got a sequel that everybody kind of wishes that they got, like in the sense like, oh yeah, it's just gonna be like the first game, but it's gonna be a lot darker, and it's just gonna be Joel and Ellie kind of doing good cop, bad cop. Like, I don't think it would have been as enriching as the story we got. So I like it a lot. I feel like if you played the first game, you will like this game a lot. And if you didn't play the first game, I think there's still an interesting story that needs to be told, and like they catch you up a little bit, but the whole game, like you just need to experience it. You need to play the Left Behind DLC. You need to play the first game. You need to play the second game to really kind of emotionally invest yourself in this world, to really kind of empathize a little bit more with the situation and the characters that are presented to you.
Yeah. For me, I pretty much said it. And I'm going to quote my friend Blackstar because I think he had the perfect review of this. He's not a reviewer; he's just a regular gamer, but I think he summed it up perfectly. And this is my personal thing, even though I agree with him. This is Naughty Dog's worst story, but their best game. The gameplay, because I'm usually a story guy, but again, I wasn't connecting with the story, and I do blame that on 8 seasons of The Walking Dead making me numb to these type of stories. It wasn't when I played the first game, I was really emotionally invested, especially from the beginning when you see Joel's daughter die. I'm like, oh shit, this is nuts. You know, there was so many scenes in the first game that just fucked me up. There was this other scene, I forget their name. It was a son and son and father. They ended up like committing suicide basically. Like, yo, this is some heavy fucking shit. Are you
talking about Sam and Henry in the first game?
Yeah. Like that. Yeah. Yo, oh my god,
yeah.
Like that game. Like I couldn't play for more than 2 hours at a time because it was just so emotionally draining. Right. This game, I had, since I felt no connection to anything, I really didn't. I was able to play like 8 hours or 9 hours a day or whatever. Just that's why I cranked it out relatively fast. But the gameplay, that's what saved it for me. It was just so much fun. Like Naughty Dog are masters of their craft. Like, so there's so many things in it. It's just so much variety. Not only with the combat itself, but even the traversal. There's a lot more platforming. I love the boat scenes. I don't know how people felt about those. I really enjoyed that. It's going through the rapids and stuff. That was dope. The whole bridge scene was crazy. The boss fights were awesome. You know, and I really liked how you could pit enemies against one another. That was really good. But yeah, story wise, it didn't do it for me. I still maintained, and I'm just telling for myself, that whole scene with Abby was just. It was an extended version of the boat scene from Uncharted 3. You could take that entire scene out, and it wouldn't affect the story whatsoever. I felt that with Abby. I'm like, you could take that everything with her. For me, it wouldn't have done anything, you know. But her gameplay was so good. That's what saved it. Even though I didn't care about her or Lev or the scars, I'd like kill all those people. I don't care about them, you know. But I did enjoy that. But I want to touch on something you said, Tay. Like the whole like, is this a sequel we wanted? The thing is, I'll be honest, I didn't want a sequel. I felt the first game ended so perfectly. I was like, this ending is fantastic. Just because it was so ambiguous, like, oh shit. Because you're like, does Ellie know that Joel lied to her? Like, you know, like what's going on here?
Yeah.
But with that said, I do like the way they resolved that specific story. And again, my favorite parts of this game was whenever it was Joel and Ellie. That's why I love those those flashbacks. I'm like, this reminds me of the first game. Or my favorite parts of the game were whenever it was Joel and Ellie, or Joel or Ellie by herself. Because even with her and Dina, some of those things, I'm like, I don't know about that, but like. Because, and I said this too to some people, when I play the first like 5 or 6 hours of the game, I'm like, I don't know if I'm feeling this. But when you get to that first section where you're playing as Ellie by herself, I'm like, okay, I like this game now. And then you have some flashback to her and Joel. I'm like, okay, this is good. I like this. You know, so I'm a little mixed on it. I'm definitely not going to give it my game of the year, but it probably will be in my top 10 just because the gameplay itself was good. And I will play this game again on PS5 because there's going to be graphical upgrades and all that, and I want to get that platinum. Thank you, Naughty Dog, for the trophies in this. They're very generous. It wasn't like the first game, stingy ass shit. You know, you beat the game, it's like 23% trophy. I'm like, whoa, bro, come on, man, bullshit right now.
The multiplayer, which wasn't really that good.
Yeah.
Whoa! I'm gonna have to disagree with that.
We're not going to get into that. By the way,
to each their own.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I agree with Taylor, by the way, on that.
I mean, you don't play multiplayer, so.
Word, Riku, how much Destiny 2 did I play with you, man? Monster Hunter.
Man, third-person shoot. I'm talking about third-person shooting.
Yeah. Division, right? You know how many? That was the most played game.
Okay,
so,
sure.
I'm not going to get into it again.
Yeah.
I realized that my problems with the multiplayer of the Last of Us is because it was based on the first week of me playing, and what was everybody doing? Running around shooting each other. I'm like, this is not what I want. And then obviously, if you play the game correctly, it's actually fun. But nobody I played with was doing that. They were just running and gunning.
You know, everybody wanted to play
you needed a squad.
Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Like it's just like that's
Yeah,
only
you
my
needed a
favorite-
squad.
Everybody was playing it like Call of Duty. So I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I'll just play Call of Duty then.
I'm like,
You know?
I was like, just go play Call of Duty then. But I will say that like the multiplayer aspect, because it was an enhanced version of like the Uncharted multiplayer, and then it just had like the surviving and the crafting and all that stuff, which was cool. But it's like every time I tried to play it, everybody was just trying to play like a third person Call of Duty.
That was my experience. I'm like, this is
play Duty.
Yeah, I'm like, this is just
Yeah, you
Uncharted
can punish
with
those people.
Yeah, it's like this is just Uncharted with worse mechanics, you know. But anyway, yeah, Last of Us 2, good game. Like if I were to score it, I would actually give it a 7 out of 10, just because the story brought it down. But if I was just basing it off of like gameplay wise, you know, and I don't give this score very often. 10 out of 10 gameplay wise. Like it is fucking phenomenal. But that story, Abby and all that, I'm like, I'm not trying to play as her, you know.
I have to give it like a 9.23 out of 10. Like the whole a lot of the gripes is just like with the writing and the story, and just like especially with like some of the backstory for like that the Seraphites and stuff. But like a lot of that is just like the gameplay was just really good.
The gameplay was so good.
A technical masterpiece.
Yes.
And like also I had a few technical issues, nothing game breaking, but I can't give it a 9.5. I can't even give it a 10 out of 10 because I don't think it's a 10 out of. I don't think it's a perfect game.
Yeah, no, it's not. You know, that
No game is.
Carlos, man, final thoughts.
Yeah, I wanted to just bring up something that we didn't talk about. That last scene between Joel and Ellie was really emotional.
Yeah, that was good.
I was like, that was well done. I'm like,
You talking about the scene that they held back from us?
no, the one where they make up, essentially.
Yeah, the scene they held back from us. Because I know a decent amount of people are like, man, if they told us that Ellie and Joel were actually working towards becoming, building their friendship back up after the lie, then maybe I would have seen Ellie's revenge for Joel, more justifiable. But I'm like, they did this. They did that on purpose. They held that information.
That's a
for
weird
you
complaint
to feel.
because it puts
Kind
extra.
of hinted at it in the beginning,
Yeah.
though. There was a scene with like Dina and Ellie on patrol, and they're like, Dina's like, "Oh, what are you gonna do tonight?" She's like, "I don't know. I might invite Joel over to watch a movie."
That's exactly. But
Yeah.
the thing is, the player doesn't know that they made up. So even when I was seeing that scene, I was like, I in my head, I was like, I guess at this point, Ellie's still in denial. At that point, I thought Ellie was still in denial. So they were just, you remember in the flashback when they're, doing all of the spaceship stuff. Ellie's still in denial. They're friends and whatnot. I thought they were still in denial at that point. So I didn't really
They,
pay attention
before we got to that point that Carlos was talking about, they already had their little falling out or whatever. But the thing is, like, that's kind of weird. It's like, to me at least, Ellie's revenge was already justified. It was already like, they killed Joel. You got to get these motherfuckers. It was already justified. But that scene made everything that you had played with her have even more like
I
weight.
agree with that.
So I'm like the way they held that to the end, I thought was masterful. That was, again, everything everything that happened with Ellie and Joel in this game was fucking brilliant. I love that shit, Go ahead, Carlos, keep going.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts. Also, shout out to The Last of Us 2 for almost having as many endings as Return of the King.
Yo, bro.
I'm in a Twitter chat with Tony, and I'm like, yo, how many endings does this thing have? Because I'm like, I think I'm done, and it's like, oh, we're in Santa Barbara now. I'm like, oh, whoa.
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 Like, huh?
We're in Santa Barbara now. Okay. We're in a freaking, in the barn, and yeah. So there's a lot of endings, but I mean, it wasn't anything too bad. Yeah, this game. Overall thoughts. I think it's a great game. Overall, as a package, it's not my game. Like I mentioned, it's not my game of the year. If I were to give it a score, it would probably be like an 8.5 out of 10. Not a 94, how it is on Metacritic for the critical reviews, and not a 3 point whatever it is on the user score.
Oh God.
But yeah, this game, a lot of people, and we talked about it in Throwdown. A lot of people thought that and Tony talked about it earlier right now. There wasn't really a desire for a sequel for this game, for the first game. And I kind of agreed, but I'm not disappointed that this game exists. I'm actually kind of glad this game exists, and yeah, it's definitely going to be a top 5, top 10 game of this year when it's all said and done.
Cool. All right, Riku, final thoughts.
This game is fucking lit. In regards to story, I don't agree with Black Star when he says the worst story but a great game and whatnot. I think, in my opinion, in regards to all of the stories Naughty Dog has ever made, I think this is the best story that they've ever made. Beating Jack 3 and Uncharted 2. In regards to an overall package of a game, I actually don't agree that this is a better. This is the best thing they've made. I feel Uncharted 2, 3, and 4, I feel are overall better packages of a game. And
Well, no, I don't think
because
anybody said that. Like,
oh,
what
okay.
I-
Well, I do know
Yeah.
some people that think that. I'm not saying
I'm not going to say
anyone
that. No,
here said
Uncharted, you know,
I would say I think
Yeah.
if we're comparing like in terms of like consistency, like gameplay and story, and I'm doing just like Uncharted 4 and like The Last of Us Part 2, I like Uncharted 4 just a little bit more, just in that regard, because it's more consistent with like the story and the gameplay. But you know,
yeah.
I don't know, I
And
think for
Riku,
Uncharted 4,
you already know my goat for a Naughty Dog. That's never going to change ever in the
Yeah.
history of mankind.
Yeah, for me,
Uncharted,
that was-
Uncharted 2 is that's never going to be
Yeah,
stopped.
that's my
But again,
goat too.
No, I think
objectively,
as an overall game, my favorite Naughty Dog game is still Uncharted 2.
Yeah.
I'm just saying from a story standpoint, the story experience and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The single player experience, I give that to The Last of Us Part 2. As an overall package of a game, like I'm talking about single player experience, and what else do you have to offer other than single player experience? Well, Uncharted 2, 3, and 4 have a multiplayer, competitive, and co-op. 3 different types of co-op: co-op adventure, co-op horde, and no, I think it's only 2: co-op adventure and co-op horde, and then competitive. They have 4 different types of ways you can play the game: single player, co-op adventure, and co-op horde. So it's like, I think as an overall package of a game and replay value, you know, they made games that trump this, but from a single player experience and quality and story quality, I give it to Last of Us Part 2. In regards to, like I said, my game of the year is still Xenoblade, probably because of, you know, the replay value and all of the shit that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Definitive Edition did. But as far as my favorite games this generation, I do think that this game became my 3rd favorite game this generation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it
Impressive.
is my number 3.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I want to
would-
give a quick shout out to the Platform Podcast who's rating us with 15 viewers, man. Welcome, even though we're about to wrap up.
Yeah. You guys are late.
You know, but it's all good. Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad we did this podcast, you know, a little bit longer than expected, but there's so much to say about it. We probably could have kept going on longer, to be honest, you know, but
Oh yeah. Yeah,
you
I
know.
wanted to talk about what they could do with the multiplayer, but I think no one can.
yeah, no,
The Last
we
of Us
know.
Part
hey,
two.
if you want to
yeah.
keep this
No,
up
no,
another
no,
2
no, no,
hours,
I'm-
I'll be up for
Yeah,
it.
no,
Yeah.
my
You know I could.
my
You know
stomach
I
ain't
could.
down. I'm hungry. But
Yo,
the thing is,
when my camera went off, I was eating, buddy.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. But I mean, again, we were just talking specifically about this game, so we can't. I don't want to speculate on what multiplayer could be because we're just talking about this game specifically. But yeah, no,
Exactly.
this is a good game overall. I will say it was definitely better than I expected. I thought it was going to be a little bit worse, but that mostly stemmed from the fact that I didn't want a sequel. I thought that again, first one just ended so beautifully. But no, this game was good. It'll probably be in my top 10 for the year, but for the generation specifically, Riku, nah, it's not. You know, Red Dead Redemption, you know, and I feel again, it's just a personal thing, and I'll wrap this up. The way they did revenge in Red Dead Redemption 2 was more satisfying because they had the same type of thing. It's like the character had the choice of staying on his farm with his family, chilling, letting the person who wronged them live. He goes out there, kills them. I'm like, thank you. That's what I want. You know. Anyway, so that's it. So let's let everybody plug their stuff. Taylor, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Taynixter. That's TAYNIXSTER.
Yeah, and what about your articles? Where can they find those?
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget
you
to
can
plug
find
your
me-
actual stuff.
I mean, you can find me at theverge.com as well. I mean, I don't know. I'm always tweeting out articles on Twitter, so I was like, I guess you can find it, like, put 2 and 2 together. But yeah, I write for the
No, they
Verge.
won't. There are people who have been following me for years that don't realize I'm a game journalist. You know, yes, it's true. Or that I have a podcast. Like, you have a podcast? Like, motherfucker, I plug it twice a week. So yeah, people are dense. So that's why I'm like, plug your stuff, you know. Yeah, and Riku, of course, you know, for you guys who don't know, Riku was one of the originators of Throwdown, one of the founders from the ancient days of 2012. You know, we're still holding it down.
Man, oh man,
it's crazy,
yeah.
bro. It's been 8 years, man. It's about to be 8 years in August, bro. Crazy times, man.
Almost a decade. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. So yeah, plug your stuff.
At Rikuson1 on Twitter. Follow me. It is what it is, man. Y'all, it's great game. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is it.
And Carlos, you and I don't need to plug ourselves. This Throwdown, man. You already know about us.
Yo, man, make sure to follow at Eurocard9 and go watch the Throwdown every Thursday and Sunday. Or throw down your questions at 10:30 Eastern. And fuck Fedra.
Yeah. Yo, for real. Anyway, man, we'll see you for the next spoiler alert. I don't know which one it's going to be. It'll be for something, surely, you know. And we could only really do these for, like, shorter games. Like Ghost of Tsushima, that ain't getting no spoiler alert. That game's too fucking long. That ain't getting no spoiler alert. You know,
how long did they say the game was going to be?
It's an open world game. It's probably be like 100 hours or something crazy, you know. So who knows?
I think it's probably going to be like 60. But we'll see.
Yeah. Anyway,
Tony,
I think it's going to be as big as Horizon.
What up?
There might not be a spoiler alert for Ghost of Tsushima, but there will be a contest.
Oh yeah, oh yes, there will be. I guess we can plug that real quick. So we're going to be giving away a copy of Ghost of Tsushima Closer to It, and what's cool about that is that game is actually being sponsored by one of our fans. He wants to give the love back to not only us but the listeners, which is really fucking cool. So being paid out of their pocket, which is ironic because all the games that we buy are like paid for through the money we make on Twitch, and this guy alone probably pays for half these fucking games because he's always throwing money at us, you know. So shout out to Glorious War, man.
He's throwing down that money.
Yeah, he's throwing down that money. Anyway, man, we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.
Deuces.
Peace, people. Later, people.